8%. Chapter 21 Dumbfounded Ghost Sect Disciple. After Li Fan patiently explained, the disciples finally understood what happened. I didn't expect to see the 6th rank big formation in my lifetime. A disciple said with flushed expression. He is usually not interested in practicing martial skill. But I really like Kimon's tricks, especially formation. Before, as a disciple of Lingyun Sect, he had read some records and formation methods of formation in Sect. At that time, he also suggested to the sect leader of Lingyunzong that if he could trade an 8-rank sect big formation in the market, then there is no need to worry about the weird riots once a month. Even if there are a lot of weirdness leading demonic beasts to attack sect. The Lingyun sect with formation can also rely on formation to deal with weirdness. By then unilaterally changing the position within the gate can prevent enemies outside the formation from entering. But attacks from the formation can pass through the formation unhindered, causing damage to the enemy. Unfortunately, every sect array is extremely rare and precious. The sect leader of the Lingyun sect has searched for several years and has not found even a 9th rank formation, let alone an 8th rank formation. Unexpectedly, he could see his 6th rank in sect today. Excited, and relieved. Several emotions kept tumbling in his heart. Sect leader, I remember that the 8th rank formation can withstand the weird demonic beasts or enemy attacks in the blood-changing realm. Is this 6th rank formation? Li Fan glanced at the excited red-faced disciple, and said calmly, the attack of the innate realm world can't break it. The disciple didn't turn his mind for a while. He kept scratching his head, and muttered in a low voice, innate realm, which one is innate realm? Above the exchange of blood. Nourish the dirty, clear the orifice, it's not right. He muttered while pulling his hair. Li Fan looked at him and laughed like this, and couldn't bear to see this disciple who hadn't had a lot of hair, and kept tossing about his few hair. Kindly reminded. Innate realm is the pinnacle of martial realm. The disciple with a handful of hair in his hand looked dull. It's not that he doesn't know what realm innate realm is, but he didn't dare to think in that direction at all, or subconsciously ignored the past. The realm of innate can be said to be a big boss. Every sect with innate realm is the 6th rank sect. And in the entire Kanglan region of 100,000 miles, there is only one legendary 6th rank sect. When I heard Lingyunzong sect leader drinking, it seemed to be called Qingjing Palace. That is an incredible force. The 6th rank sect leader must be the innate realm. The remaining 10,000 disciples are all at the lowest level of innate to qualify for the 6th rank sect. This means that the Qian Yuanzong he has joined now can even block the attack of the 6th rank sect. Li Fan looked at the dull-faced disciple and didn't say anything. He didn't have time to chat now. After setting up the Taiyan Kimon formation, it was just a matter of convenience. And the big array can protect the safety in sect. If you want to survive in the fog, you also need to be strong. Li Fan returned to the room, silently practicing the newly obtained purple Qi Keishan Jing, preparing to master this cultivation technique first, and then take Qi Yuan Dan to practice. At this time, Qian Yuanzong sect was outside the large array. 12 ghost sect disciples dressed in black robes, you look at me and I look at you, don't know what to say. The atmosphere became a little awkward for a while. What's wrong with Yu Qi? Wang Qian said with a dark face and some doubts. Yu Qi was the elder who was sent by the ghost sect leader to destroy Qian Yuanzong with him. Just now they followed Li Fan and the group and found Qian Yuanzong's sect address. Yu Qi was worried that the two of them would not be able to kill the entire Qian Yuanzong without fail, so he asked him to return to Sect to bring more people to surround this place. But it took him less than 2 hours to go back and forth. Why did the small sect that looked tattered before suddenly appear to high-end sect array? Yu Qi's complexion was very ugly, and he pulled Wang Qian aside and whispered, I don't know what's going on. Just now, there was a soaring light from here, and then a big formation appeared. I don't know how to explain this. Wang Qian understands what he means. Sect leader shouldn't let sect leader know about this kind of thing, otherwise it will be a bad end. He didn't dare to try the taste of sect leader's soul eater. The two discussed for a while, and decided to go back and conceal what happened afterwards. Then return to Sect as soon as possible and report the Sect big formation to the Sect leader. As for why you don't bring someone to try if you can break Qian Yuanzong's great formation. Joke. The lowest 9th rank cultivator can't be shaken by the cultivator of the blood-changing realm at the lowest level, and naturally they won't waste their energy and startle the snake. Afterwards, the two left a disciple of the marrow cleaning period and continued to monitor the movements of everyone in Qian Yuanzong's vicinity. then returned to the ghost sect with the remaining people. Everyone in Gamenzong left, and the fog outside Qianyuanzong fell into calm again. However, Qianyuanzong is full of enthusiasm. Next to the wooden house where the sect disciples lived, a group of people sat in lotus position and absorbed spiritual qi to exercise their physique. Hey, stay away from me and don't squeeze. I will soon break through to the 5th level of body refining. Who is squeezing you? You are blocking me. Don't you know what's so great about the 5-layer conjoined one? I will soon advance to the 6-layer conjoined one. In a large open space outside the sect courtyard, a group of disciples held cold long swords in their hands to learn from each other. Hey, ha! Li Fan looked at the sweaty figures of these disciples and smiled with satisfaction. Hengqing and Ren Guan stood beside him quietly. To him the refining progress of Fei Yinjian and Qiangshan Pill. Li Fan looked at Hengqing, who had become much stronger these days, and asked, how many handles has the Fei Yin sword refined now, and how long will it take for the 109 handles? Hengqing's face calmly bowed his head and replied, thanks to sect leader, Fei Yin sword is not difficult to refining, but it takes longer to smelt the ore. 23 Fei Yin swords have been refined, and the remaining number can be completed in 7 days. Li Fan nodded, then looked at Ren Guan, what about a strong body pill? Ren Guan bowed his head and cupped fist. Thanks to sect leader, the pill for strengthening body has been refined half of the current 150 pieces, and the remaining quantity can be refined tomorrow. Then you can use monster core to refine the Qi Yuan Dan in large quantities. However, after disciples swallows a strong body pill, it takes a while to adapt to the body, so it will take about 7 or 8 days to consume all the strong body pill and convert it into its own strength. At that time, all the disciples of sect will reach the marrow cleansing state. 8%. Chapter 22. Breakthrough. Li Fan sighed as he listened to their reports. Since he first entered this world, he has no strength, no resources, no disciples. In just 3 days now, the entire sect has been on the right track under his leadership, and a sense of accomplishment has risen in his heart. 7 days. After 7 days I will be eligible to be promoted to the 8th sect. Li Fan raised his eyebrows, but I have to increase my strength quickly, otherwise I will be surpassed by disciples. Moreover, it is necessary for him to advance to the zombies raising realm to be promoted to the 8th grade sect. But raising the dirty environment still needs more resources. Wait for breakthrough to change the blood, and let a group of disciples who have reached the marrow to explore the mist again. To find the pill recipe for the transmutation realm practice, or kill the demonic beasts in the transmutation realm to get monster core. Then find the elixir for refining the monster core of the transmutation realm. Without further ado, he encouraged his 2 right-hand men a few words. Li Fan went back to the room and swallowed 2 Qi Yuan Dan, circling the purple energy to open the heaven. Sha Guang Wandao, Rui Kai 8000. The hazy purple air covered Li Fan's figure, and a rumbling roar came from his body. The bones in the body are constantly tempered with the surging spiritual qi. Crush, repair, crush, repair. Huge pain is accompanied by the cultivation of the marrow realm. Finally, the purple qi that quickly revolved around his body slowly dissipated, and the turbulent spiritual qi gradually returned to calm. Breakthrough. Wash the marrow 3 layers. Li Fan stood up and moved his body a few times. Yes, physical strength and spirit power ascension have been improved a lot, and the bones and physical strength of the body have also been improved a lot. In order to consume the spirit power that was filled with pain in the body, Li Fan started a mysterious thunder step. The electric lights flickered and with a squeak, Li Fan rushed out of the room door. Knocked out a hole in the door, then slumped outside. It is still not possible to fully display the effects of Zon Lei step, but the distance of action seems to be a lot farther than the 2nd floor of marrow washing. Li Fan was not discouraged either. He knew that before he reached the Dao realm, or found some genius treasure to greatly strengthen his body and spirit power capacity. Zon Lei Bu cannot be used in actual combat. But it doesn't matter, he is only trying to consume the spirit power in his body now. But cultivation Zon Lei Bu can't be in the room next time. Looking at the human-shaped hole in the door behind him, Li Fan shook his head bitterly. After taking a rest, Li Fan took out a few wooden boards to repair the door, and went back to the house to continue practicing. The practitioners outside the courtyard looked at Li Fan and exclaimed, "Sect leader deserves to be sect leader, the way to go out is different." Yeah, you see that sect leader's legs flashed with lightning just now, and he smashed through the door and rushed out. I thought it was sect leader who entered demonic beasts. What nonsense. I know at a glance that sect leader is practicing some kind of powerful martial skill secret method. Looking at the fast-moving figure, it is probably a certain kind of legwork. Yeah, the disciples outside the door nodded together, and then they focused their attention on the practice. The gloomy ghost school great hall. The sect leader of Ghost Sect, with a square face and naked, muscular knots, looked at the two elders under him indifferently. You said that a small 9th rank sect actually has a large sect formation. Wang Qian and Yu Qi lowered their heads, their black robes behind them were wet with sweat, and bit their heads and said, yes, sect leader. Both of us know that even the lowest rank 9th rank formation cannot be broken by the two of us, So I didn't stun the snake, leaving a disciple to continue to monitor their actions, and then quickly report the situation to you, and ask sect leader to make a decision. Mu Quan, the square-faced ghost sect leader, touched his chin, and pulled out a horrified smile at the corner of his mouth. What are you panicking? What you did is right. Qian Yuanzong seems a bit interesting, and the rare sect array can also be obtained by them. It seems to be more valuable than I thought. Mu Quan muttered to himself with his fingers on the Moyu throne, tapping on the handrail lightly. Wengqin and Yu Qi in Great Hall breathed a sigh of relief, quietly bowed their heads and knelt on one knee, waiting for sect leader's next instructions. Tap, tap, tap. In the empty ink Great Hall, there was only a slight breathing and the faint sound of Mu Quan's finger tapping on the armrest of the seat. After thinking for a while, Mu Quan said playfully, well, don't worry about them for the time being, there will be another riot in the fog in 7 days. That Qian Yuanzong who has the sect big formation to resist should not be so easy to be destroyed by weirdness. You lead 30 dead men and 10 monster cores to lead them to the weird and demonic beasts near sect, and give them some stuff. When this weird riot passes, we will destroy the Qian Yuanzong. Yes, Wang Qian and Yuki replied respectfully. Although the two figures slowly dissipated out of the Great Hall. Just now, it was really dangerous. Seeing sect leader's cold eyes, my back was soaked in cold sweat. Wang Qian said in fear. Yu Qi rubbed his face and tugged at him, shish, keep quiet. After finishing speaking, he wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. The two quickly returned to their place of residence. Time flew by, and it was 7 days later. This is also the 10th day that all Blue Star humans came to this world. Li Fan sat in the wooden house and picked up the high-grade wood attribute spirit orb next to him. The flawless spirit beads that were originally filled with cyan light and strong spiritual chi are dimmed at this moment, and the beads are covered with dense cracks. Fortunately, I have obtained this high-grade wood attribute spirit orb, otherwise the 5 thunder supernatural powers may still be unusable in the transmutation realm. Li Fan's palm flashed with a faint cyan thunder light, and the overwhelmed Lingju instantly turned into powder. In 7 days, Li Fan brought Realm's smooth ascension to the blood-changing state on the 5th day. After Realm reached the blood-changing stage, he couldn't wait to start practicing the magical power that was rewarded by Heavenly Tao and multiplied by 100 times, mastering the 5 thunders. Originally, to practice this supernatural power, it was necessary to slowly cultivate and strengthen the 5 internal organs of the body, and wait until the first wood is the accumulation of the chi of the liver palace before launching the first thunder. But when he was cultivating the chi of the liver palace, Li Fan found that the cultivation speed was too slow. At this rate, it will take 10 years to conservatively estimate that he wants to store the energy of the liver palace enough to use the wood mine. When he was struggling, he suddenly thought of the wooden spirit orb rewarded by the system. Taking out the spirit orbs and starting to practice the energy of the 5 internal organs, Li Fan surprisingly discovered that the cultivation speed of the chi of the wood is countless times faster. It's like looking for sand and building high towers when condensing the aura of woods. And now someone directly gave you a 360-story tower, and then told you to quickly sign and this is yours. So in the past few days, he desperately absorbed the spiritual chi from the spirit orbs, and finally successfully condensed and nourished the chi of the liver in his body. I don't know how powerful this magical power can be. Li Fan muttered to himself excitedly. In 7 days, Li Fan had digested all the resources and transformed it into his own strength. Li Fan came to the martial arts field and couldn't wait to know what kind of ascension he had gained in the past few days. Hey, ha. In Qian Yuanzong's martial arts field, Li Fan held a fiery knife in his hand, and Truchi ran his body to launch a slash. With a slash, the hard ground was cut into a trench with a depth of 5 meters. After reaching the transmutation realm, Li Fan's physical and bone strength has gained a great ascension. The physical strength is also longer and the recovery ability is much stronger. At this time, the total amount of spirit power in the body more than 5 times. When washing the second floor of the marrow, use the 9th rank martial skill to slash the spirit power in the body that is time consuming. Now it is only 1/5 of the total spirit power in the body. In other words, he can use it 5 times with a single slash, and he will not fall into a state of exhaustion. Of course, one cut is one cut, but you can also mobilize more spirit power. He can also condense the 5 knives into the peak of a knife. The power is about 3 times as powerful as Ascension. After all, a slash is only a 9th rank martial skill. The acupoints that penetrates when the martial skill is stimulated are not high in the mobilization and utilization of spirit power. Therefore, the loss will continue Ascension when fully mobilizing the cultivation base. There is no way, after all, it is a low-grade martial skill. It seems that I need to find a stronger martial skill. Li Fan whispered, but there is still a magical power at the bottom of the box. Wiped his sweat and came to the location of Great Hall of the Sect, summoning all the disciples. It is not to encourage and teach the disciples to practice seriously, nor is it to explore the fog. It was that the long-lost system prompt sounded in his mind this morning. The fog is recovering from riots and weird masses, and the once-a-month weird carnival begins. Sect leaders, please do your best to block the attacks of the weirdness and the eroded people led by them, and kill them. Kill the weird and beasts will get rich rewards. Don't think about escaping, because this will be the easiest and weakest weird riot that sect leaders will face in the long years to come. The winner will live, the loser will die. I wish you all, sect leader, good luck and prosperity. 9%. Chapter 23 The First Weird Riot. Beyond the light blue sect's large array of light curtains, there is an endless gray haze. The endless mist in the darkness rose and rolled in it. There seemed to be unknown creatures roaring and reveling in it. Little sect everywhere explored in this mist like an ant. No one can imagine how big this world is, maybe, they dare not imagine. 3 weird heads and the illusory figure of hundreds of demonic beasts slowly solidified in the mist. The 3 weird heads uttered an incomprehensible weird roar and charged with a large number of demonic beasts behind them towards Qian Yuanzong's sector ray. One of the weird walks in the front of the herd. The leading weird looked very peculiar, with a large head with a woman's face on it. Beneath the head is empty, and the big head is supported by 4 thick and long limbs. It will be the first weird to attack Qian Yuanzong's great formation. There was a hum. The human face and head slammed into the big formation weirdly and violently. The light blue light curtain fluctuated, completely resisting the strange attack of the human face and head, without a trace of waves. The 2 weird people next to them saw that the weird faces were unable to break through the light curtain in front of them, and they led the hundreds of eroded demonic beasts behind them to launch an attack. Boom, 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 looking at the monster group in front of him constantly attacking. Li Fan's expression was a little shocked. The 3 weird heads led hundreds of demonic beasts to attack together. The intensity of this battle was a bit too strong. He couldn't figure it out. The attack in this situation would be very difficult for him to resist. Other sects don't know how to resist. Is it possible that this will wipe out billions of humans at once? Compressing the doubts to the bottom of his heart, Li Fan faintly observed these weirdness in the herd. Endless attacks are constantly falling on the Taiyan Kimen array, and every attack can only splash a tiny wave. However, the strange beasts continued to attack as if tirelessly. From day to noon, from noon to night, they don't need to eat or rest. It seems to be born to destroy everything. The spirit stones that Li Fan buried under the circle were constantly consuming, and after 5 hours, more than 70 spirit stones had been consumed. These costs are actually not too much, and if the spirit stones are large enough to make these weird attacks reach the sky, they won't be broken. But Li Fan doesn't have that many spirit stones in his hands, and he can resist it for 5 days at most. Moreover, he is not a person who is waiting to be killed. If you don't kill all the strange beasts in front of him, they will not dissipate. If they don't die for a day, Qian Yuanzong can only shrink in the big formation until the resources are slowly exhausted, unable to cultivate and strengthen. But as time goes by, the weird people outside Sect will become stronger and stronger. This war cannot end peacefully from beginning to end. Some only live and die. There is no way for mankind to retreat. Li Fan looked solemnly at the condensing and surging gray mist. Knowing that he didn't need to wait any longer, he glanced at the disciples behind him, who were ready to go. A total of 110 disciples, plus his sect leader, Qian Yuanzong Quanzong has a total of 111 people. Among them, 15 are in the transmutation realm, and all the others are in the washing marrow realm. In the past few days, he has refined all the monster cores on his body into a total of 200 Qi Yuan Dan. Because there were more than 100 more Kilian and Hunyuan vines, he went to the mist to slaughter a demonic beasts in the marrow realm, and obtained 100 inner alchemy. The 300 pieces of Qi Yuan Dan created a total of 15 transmutation realms, which is the ultimate Li Fan can achieve in a short period of time. Li Fan calmly watched the disciples he had cultivated and said, "This is the first war of our entire Qian Yuanzong, but it won't be the last. As humans, we have no way out, only one battle. The time has come to test the results of your practice during this period of time. All the disciples follow me to charge and kill." Disciple follow the order, kill. Before the 110 disciples were nervous, fearful, or worried, all the emotions dissipated. All that was left was a Cold War spirit. Each of them has witnessed the death of their family members, relatives, and friends in front of the weirdness. They are struggling to practice, struggling desperately, in order to survive, and to avenge their relatives and friends. Under the leadership of Li Fan, everyone rushed out of the light blue light curtain. One by one cultivator filed out, murderous. The demonic beasts who were several times taller than them, 10 times taller, showed their swords. Li Fan took 5 disciples in the exchange realm, 2 by 1, and found the 3 weird leaders to take the lead. The remaining 9 disciples of the transmutation realm led a dozen disciples to rush out to fight with the demonic beasts group. Knife light sword shadow, plasma gushing. As soon as the 2 camps collided, the stump flew up and demonic beasts fell. The battle was extremely fierce from the beginning. Li Fan found the person who took the lead with a weird face, without any pause. The figure flashed quickly and came in front of the weird head. The burning knife brought up many afterimages, chopped and chopped down, the human head lifted up a limb and stabbed out, and it made a clash with the burning knife. One blow failed to achieve merit. Li Fan's wrist moved slightly, turning into a slap. The blade that became fiery red blessed by spirit power slashed into the middle of the weird limbs, leaving a deep wound on the thick limbs. The head hurts strangely, and he roars and sends a wave-like sound wave attack straight to Li Fan's head. He drew his knife to resist, but the strange sound wave still made Li Fan's mind dizzy. The head weird took the opportunity to attack again and again, and the 2 forelimbs lifted up and stabbed Li Fan, hissing through the air at a swift speed. With 3 clanging clangs, Ren Guan Feiyan's sword beside Li Fan was frivolous, stopping all the weird attacks from the head. Li Fan shook his head vigorously, consciously awake, glanced at Ren Guan beside him, nodded, and let out a low growl. Beware of its sonic attack. Then he and Ren Guan continued to attack the weird head. Stabbed, chopped, slashed. He used all the methods of one cut 8 style attack, and kept leaving deep scars on the weird limbs in front of him. For a moment, Li Fan was about to cut off one of the weird forelimbs of the head, just as he was swinging a knife to cut off the weird arthropod. The weird head actually gave up resisting Ren Guan's long sword that pierced his body, but used both feet together and pierced Li Fan's chest. Flutter. One arthropod fell to the ground. Li Fan's left arm with a faint golden light also dropped weakly. At this moment, Li Fan did not give up the offensive, but chose to run the phantom palm to fight the weird. He knows that opportunities are rare, weird that there is no physical exertion, and he is not exhausted. But they are not. In the battle just now, Li Fan has consumed 30% of his energy. If he can't quickly establish an advantage, then sooner or later he will be consumed by the weirdness in front of him. Tick to tick. A little blood dripped down Li Fan's arm. Ren Guan glanced at Li Fan worriedly, but didn't say a word. Distraction is a taboo when fighting. He took advantage of the weird limb being chopped off, and the moment when his figure was unstable, the Feiyan sword pierced through the weird head of the human head. The human head's weird body became weak, and the huge head slowly dropped and fell to the ground with a bang. Seeing the weird head death, Ren Guan breathed a sigh of relief and turned and ran towards Li Fan. At this time, the person who had fallen on the ground had a weird face and head body gradually becoming illusory and blurry, and a faint gray mist filled the pierced head. In a moment, the injury recovered, and the human head grew rapidly with a weird forelimb. Stabbed behind Ren Guan, he took the rejuvenation pill and walked towards Li Fan's Ren Guan, feeling the shape of the cold air body behind him. Li Fan snarled loudly when he saw this. Get away. 9%. Chapter 24 Fierce Supernatural Powers. NS. Li Fan watched as he quickly stabs Ren Guan's limbs and cursed, and then his legs flashed with thunder. Whoosh. Li Fan instantly came to Ren Guan, dragging him to the side. The weird limbs of the human head smashed into the air, and the remaining force penetrated the ground, smashing the ground. Throwing Ren Guan far away, the spirit power in Li Fan's body is also exhausted. The consumption of Zan Lei Bu is too huge, and he can still only use it once after reaching the transmutation realm. The weird head rushed towards Li Fan. A woman's face was full of distortion and spite. Ren Guan quickly stood up from the ground and fought with the strange faces and heads of the rushing people. Li Fan lotus position sits on the ground, pinching with one hand. The whole body rose up with a strong wood attribute breath, and the dark clouds in the sky pressed against the top. Yuqing Shiqing, the true talisman tells the alliance. Move the second sea, mix one into reality. 5 thunders and 5 thunders, anxious to meet Huang Ning. Encountered changes, roaring lightning fast. The sound is coming, and the sound of the sun will be heard quickly. As Li Fan's cold voice fell, a ray of blue light in his body rose to the sky. Get out of the way! Hurriedly yelled Ren Guan open. In an instant, it was as if the sky thunder shook the earth fire, and the majestic and huge cyan thunder fell from the sky, smashing directly on the weird body of the human head. There was no wave of waves, and the weird and mighty and unparalleled disappearance just now, as if it had never existed before, and the thunder did not encounter any resistance. This supernatural power is so terrifying. Li Fan exclaimed, and manipulated this thunder to sweep the other 2 weird entanglements with the disciples under the door. The thunderous strangers quickly melted away, leaving no trace of ashes. The remaining power of the thunder was dissipating between the heaven and the earth. A dinga a. A dinga a. A dinga a. I didn't hear the sound in my ears. Li Fan also fell down. The entire battlefield came to a brief halt, the moment the cyan thunder that contained the brilliance of the sky just came. All demonic beasts on the entire battlefield dared not move. Including Qian Yuanzong's disciples were all caught in a deep shock. They couldn't believe that they were displayed by their own sect leader. But in an instant they came back to their senses, and the weirdness in front of them was dead, and demonic beasts fell into a short period of sluggishness. How could they not seize this great opportunity? For a moment, the sword shadow flickered, and Qian Yuanzong disciples started to kill. Ren Guan saw sect leader fainted. Carrying Li Fan on his back, he put it in the sect formation, and then rushed to the battlefield to continue fighting. This battle has been doomed since the 3 weird death. The 15 change blood realms shot together, and the blockbuster demonic beasts fell. This is just a massacre without suspense. There was darkness in front of him, a period of memory, and the faces of people flashed before Li Fan's eyes like a revolving lantern. In a daze, Li Fan seemed to see own parents, and saw them arguing with others angrily. The last picture is of a cold and mean face stopping in front of him, making a silent grin at him. Do not. A hoarse voice came from Li Fan's mouth. Then Li Fan slowly woke up. There were familiar faces in front of him. After a while, Li Fan, who was completely awake, called the 2 Hengqing and Renguan standing in front of him, and asked with difficulty, is the battle over? Both Renguan and Hengqing looked at Li Fan excitedly and replied, thanks to the sect leader's power of heaven and the power of the thunder, the 3 weird this time, the 500 demonic beasts have been exhausted. After finishing speaking, Hengqing took out a list and handed it to Li Fan. Sect leader, this is the gain we got from strangling demonic beasts this time. Please check it out. Li Fan sat up, took the list that was handed over and checked it. During the marrow washing period, there are 479 monster cores of various types, 21 monster cores of the transmutation realm, and 25,000 caddies of various demonic beasts. More than 600 plants of 9-rank spiritual herbs, more than 400 plants of 8-rank spiritual herbs, and 100 plants of 7-rank treasure medicine. 700 spirit stones, a total of 3,000 caddies of various spirit mines. Li Fan stared at the resource record in front of him and scratched his head, his face full of incredible. He didn't think that these resources were too many to surprise him, although in fact the resources obtained this time were indeed not a small sum. Spiritual herbs can be used to refine various medicine pill ascension sect strengths. Not to mention monster core, a large number of marrow cleansing realm disciples are waiting to use it. This is a precious resource they use to advance to the transgender realm. Spirit stones are strategic resources, whether they are used to purchase other resources for practice or to provide energy for the great formation. But where did these things come from? When you say kill the weird, everything that can be used in Wanying's body is waste, and the 3 weird Li Fans are all turned into ashes. No, there is no ash left. Those 500 demonic beasts lose some monster core meat until it is normal. Can the spiritual herbs and spirit stones explode? It really depends on exploding a knife and equipment at the beginning. Was it too badly injured and has been in a coma for a month or two? Li Fan touched Owen's face and chin, but didn't touch the large beard he imagined. Suspiciously asked, "How long have I been in a coma?" The disciples next to each other whispered, "Sect leader, you have been in a coma for 3 days. We are all worried that you will die and think you will not be awake." "Yeah." A clever disciple next to him slapped the disciple who was running the train with his mouth open, and interrupted him. Li Fan didn't care about these little things with a little disciple. Instead, he touched his chin and continued, "So you are exploring the fog these days." At this time, Ren Guan accepted the words with a shy expression. "Sect leader, the hundreds of demonic beasts that you stunned at that time could not move. We killed all the demonic beasts. But then it was also discovered that because demonic beasts and the 3 weird died, the fog within 2 kilometers of Sect also disappeared. When the disciples saw that the fog had disappeared and there was no danger, they took the initiative. They explored the old nests of the dead demonic beasts and some places where spiritual chi was abundant, and brought these things back. The disciple is unreasonable. Please Sect leader to punish it." Li Fan gave him a serious look and gave him a deep look. Ren Guan looked at Li Fan's serious expression a little scared, but still did not dare to move, and continued to bow his head to admit his mistake. Li Fan looked at him with a generous face and shook his head, and said with a smile, "You did the right thing this time. You did a good job of keeping Sect running well when I was in a coma. But you still have to be careful. You all know how terrible the mist is and you have all experienced it, so forget it this time." Li Fan put a smile and looked around at each disciple. After talking about this, Li Fan was also a little tired, and he encouraged them to not be proud and continue to practice hard. Then he sent everyone out. The consumption this time was huge for him. Not only was the spirit power completely exhausted, but he also used his magical powers forcibly. But fortunately, although supernatural power, the consumption of mastering the 5 thunders is too huge, but it is not the consumption of spirit power, but the energy of the 5 internal organs in the body. This is also the reason why Li Fan can still emit the 5 thunders without a little spirit power left in his body just now. Li Fan's body's 5 internal chi is only cultivated into 1/5 elements insufficiency, so once using the 5 thunder method, it is easy to bring a great burden to the body. Generally, he only casts it once when he is in a full state, and at least 3 days of cultivation are needed to make up for the wood energy consumed by the recovery. Of course, this is also because his 5 internal organs are incomplete, unable to reach the endless realm. When his 5 internal organs cultivation reaches the peak of realm, 5 elements will revolve and reinforce each other, and it will revolve endlessly. Not to mention that it was an oriental blue thunder. Even if 5 thunders blasted it together for 3 days and 3 nights, it would not be exhausted. The cultivation base is still not home, and he sighed. Li Fan remembered the system prompt that flashed in his mind before. He muttered to himself with a smile, "I don't know what good things are rewarded for killing weird this time." 10%. Chapter 25 Heavenly Dao Merit. Qian Yuanzong kills the weird and gets a wisp of Heavenly Dao Merit. Qian Yuanzong kills the weird and gets a wisp of Heavenly Dao Merit. Qian Yuanzong kills the weird and gets a wisp of Heavenly Dao Merit. A ding. Gongshi Sect leader gains a 100-fold increase and gains Heavenly Dao Merit 300. The system reward this time is not a magical secret technique, and there are no more Heavenly Dao rewards and exceptional rewards. It is the simple and crude 4 words, Heavenly Dao Merit. But this still made Li Fan's heart extremely shocked, looking at a small group of golden light condensed at his fingertips. Although he still doesn't know the specific function of this merit, he can still feel the preciousness of the merit that exudes golden light in his hand. Just one glance at his cultivation base showed signs of ascension, and the light golden light seemed to contain the supreme insight of the great principle. It didn't make Li Fan wonder for too long, when he focused all his attention on the merits in his hands. The system gave a prompt. Heavenly Dao Merit. Extremely rare. Heavenly Dao gives the highest reward for contributing to the world, killing weirdness, perfecting the rules of the world, and everything that contributes to the world's body has a chance to get. Incorporate your own consciousness into merits to know all kinds of magical effects. Li Fan followed the system's prompts, focusing his spiritual thoughts and slowly touching them into the golden light of merit. At the moment when Divine Mind touched the golden light, Li Fan's consciousness was pulled into a mysterious and great space. Endless stars are in the sky, revolving around an endless palace. Under Li Fan's feet is a pitch-black void space, following his gaze on the palace in the distance. An illusory staircase appeared under his feet, and Li Fan walked towards the palace step by step along the illusory staircase under his feet. Slowly Li Fan kept approaching the palace until there was a buzz in his mind. He entered the interior of the palace. Groups of colorful lights in the palace float in the huge great hall, exuding bursts of light and strange natural breath. On the left side of the great hall are rows of tall and neatly arranged bookshelves full of ancient books. On the right side of the great hall is a series of weapons racks stacked with various treasures that emit supreme light. Above the great hall is a mysterious high platform covered by golden light. I don't know what's on it. Li Fan didn't know what to do in it. He walked to a bookshelf and wanted to take a book from it, but found that he couldn't do it at all. After studying for a long time, Li Fan didn't get any results, so I don't know what to do. Isn't it a trap in my mind? Are you going to be trapped here? With a thought, Li Fan returned to Qian Yuanzonga's wooden house in an instant. Li Fan, who was surprised in his heart, meditated on the majestic palace again, and a black spirit immediately appeared in the palace again. Now Li Fan understands the general rules. It turns out that you can come and go freely according to your inner thoughts, so how do you use your merits? Li Fan thought of using merit to enhance his physique and the capacity and quality of spirit power. Immediately afterwards, a group of colorful lights in the great hall flew down in front of him, and an ancient book floated in front of him on the bookshelves of the great hall. Can this heavenly Tao merit achieve any people's expectations? Li Fan was deeply shocked. Just now he was just thinking about strengthening his body and spirit power. As a result, an ancient book, a light group, appeared in front of him. Without rushing to accept the colorful light group and the ancient book, Li Fan's mind continued to spin. So what if this is the case, Ascension Realm? The thought just arose, and a jade bottle exuding a strong medicinal fragrance floated down. This is too amazing. Li Fan couldn't suppress the surprise in his heart. Wouldn't it be omnipotent to have merit? Li Fan reached before the jade bottle and wanted to take it off. When his finger touched the jade bottle, a faint resistance came from the space around the bottle. A thought came to Li Fan's mind, and he instantly understood the reason. In the space of this great hall, everything you want can be exchanged for heavenly Tao merit. Whether it is to enhance the medicine pill of the cultivation base, or the high-level fairy magic, or the divine armament fairy weapon, or obtain the legendary body with only natural blood talent. As long as you use enough merit to exchange it. For example, in the bottle of ascension cultivation base in front of him, he only needs a ray of heavenly Tao merit to get 10. About 20 pieces are enough to bring a cultivator ascension with 1 layer of blood to the visceral nourishment realm. For Li Fan, who has 300 wisps of heavenly Tao merit, it can only be said to be a trivial matter, and can afford it. Then he stretched out his hand to touch the group of colorful lights and ancient book. Get 2 kinds of information prompts. Shuiyanqi blood. Heaven and earth are treasures. Smear on the body can ascension body strength, so that the cultivator has a deeper foundation. The transmutation realm can withstand up to 9 times of strange blood body tempering. Haoshan Zayu secret techniquea, secret technique. The secret method of tempering the cultivator Dantian's muscles and veins, compressing the spirit power in the body, can ascension the capacity and quality of the spirit power of the body, and it can be used in the transfusion environment. Both of these treasures are what Li Fan needs. After seeing the introduction of these 2 items, Li Fan has a hot heart. However, the prices of these 2 items made him smack secretly. The price of water and clouds is 50 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. The price of the Haoshan Ziyu secret technique is 250 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. The merit of cooperating with oneself is just enough to buy the secret technique of the capacity and quality of the ascension spirit power, and a drop of forged body water. According to the introduction of Shuiyanqi Shui, the transmutation realm can withstand 9 times of strange blood body tempering, that is to say, it takes 450 strands of merit to reach the peak of the body of the transfusion realm. As for the secret technique of pill refining field and spirit power, the 250 strands of heavenly Tao merit can be exchanged. After the change, he still needs his own cultivation. I don't know how much resources it will consume to cultivate. Looking at the 300 strands of heavenly Tao merit Li Fan in his hand, Li Fan's eyes were moist and his throat choked. After buying these 2 things, he had no merit left, and even the medicine pill who practiced in the blood exchange realm could not afford it. However, Li Fan decided to replace these 2 treasures. You can slowly cultivate ascension. But before he gets to the zombies, he must put his own background ascension up and polish his body and spirit power to the best. A few days ago, when he broke through to the blood-changing state, Li Fan felt a trace of stagnation and vainness in the spirit power in his body. It seems that the potential of the body refining state and marrow cleansing state has not been fully developed. And by constantly swallowing medicine pill to be promoted to ascension, Li Fan felt that breakthrough was getting harder and harder. The original Qi Yuan pill could bring him closer to the realm of ascension. However, it takes 2 or 3 Qi Yuan Dan to achieve the effect of 1. What he can feel is not the so-called drug resistance, or the consumption of spirit power increases only after it increases. But when he absorbed and digested the spirit power in medicine pill, the conversion efficiency of spirit power was insufficient. It's like a very powerful cultivator with a deep body, Dantian, who swallows medicine pill practice. It can absorb 100% of all spirit power, but he can only absorb half or less, just like the body is a wooden barrel that leaks air everywhere, generally. He has a hunch that if this wooden barrel is not repaired, it will be stronger and more powerful. Then his path of cultivation may stop at the martial realm, and there will be no chance to break through to the Tao realm in the future. This may also be the reason why the existence above the Taoist realm is so rare. There is only one 6th rank sect in the entire Kanglan area of 100,000 miles, and even the sect leader of this sect may not be a Taoist cultivator. Thinking of this, the 300 strands of heavenly Tao merit of Li Fan disappeared, and 2 more items appeared in his hands. 10%. Chapter 26 The Enhancement of Terror. With things in hand, Li Dan withdrew from the strange palace space. Back in the real world, the Haoshan Ziyu secret art in Li Fan's hand instantly turned into a golden light and entered his mind. And another item, Shui Yunqi, was still lying quietly in his hand. Regardless of the Haoshan Ziyu secret technique that requires careful insight cultivation, Li Fan absorbed the water and cloud strange blood instead. The faintly scented water-clouded blood slowly penetrated into Li Fan's palm. As the blood disappeared, Li Fan felt like his body was in a scorching furnace. The extremely high temperature was constantly tempering his body. The skin on the body's surface is getting brighter and red, and the pores on the body are constantly exuding small blood beads. The blood beads are evaporated into thick blood mist by the high temperature as soon as they appear. After the body refining and marrow washing period, the tough bones that have passed through the ascension also slowly burst into overwhelming sound. Li Fan's face was twisted, enduring terrifying pain. An hour later, Li Fan's bright red skin slowly returned to his normal complexion, and the blood mist around his body was absorbed and merged by the body again. Call. The huge pain disappeared, and Li Fan stood up and let out a sigh of relief. The sound of squeezing bones squeezed from his body, is this the effect of the water and the strange blood? It is worthy of 50 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. Shaking his hands, Li Fan felt that there was a huge amount of power in his body, which was 3 times stronger than before the blood-body tempering. A fist made a hissing sound. Even the speed has gained a great ascension. Even if this physical body does not use the spirit power in the body, it can defeat the cultivator, which is also a blood exchange layer. Li Fan sighed. I don't know what kind of terrifying ascension this body can get after 10 body tempering. Shuiyan Shishui wants to perform body tempering again on this one, but also needs to kill the weird to gain merit. Then go to the mysterious palace in exchange for it. For the time being, there is no idea to find weird kills. Li Fan focused his attention on the Haoshan Ziyu secret art in his mind. After consulting the secret technique, Li Fan knew the function and practice methods of this secret technique after a while. Simply put, Dantian in the cultivator is like a small world. Cultivator cultivation needs to guide the spiritual qi of the big world to absorb it into the small world in the body. The size of the small world in the body determines how much spiritual qi you can absorb. This secret technique is to allow you to expand the small world and compress the spirit power in the body through the tempering of the spiritual qi in the body. But if you want to temper spiritual qi, first you need a lot of spirit power in your body. You still need medicine pill. Li Fan's thoughts flashed. Right, this time the fight was weird. Didn't it happen that he also harvested more than 20 monster cores in the exchange period? See if you can refine it. Li Fan walked to Sect's treasure pavilion, nodded to Zhang San who was guarding the treasure pavilion, and walked in. As soon as he entered, Li Fan found the monster core specially placed in a wooden box, and took the monster core out. In this harvest, Li Fan found the elixir needed for refining the monster core for blood exchange, Jile Tian Zhu and Lotus Bud. The number is small but it is enough to refine these 21 monster cores. Just do it, and Li Fan returned to the hut with the refined monster core. Swallowed a monster core of the transmutation realm, and immediately started the Hoshin Ziyu secret art. The huge spirit power tossed in Dantian, but was immediately suppressed by a flint of Dantian's purple thread. The purple silk thread compressed the fist-large spirit power vortex in Li Fan Dantian a little bit to the size of a nail, and it seemed to disappear completely. Li Fan also faintly felt the instability of realm, and was about to land in the Mara washing realm, and quickly took another monster core. Time is constantly flowing. In a flash of time, the 21 monster cores were completely consumed, but Li Fan still stayed on the exchange layer. However, the spirit power in his body has become like a real substance. The misty spirit power vortex in his body is now a water-like spirit power vortex. The quality is straightforward. The purple energy in the body opened up and revolved, and Li Fan's body burst out with strong spirit power coercion. The strength of a spirit power is no less than the ordinary 5-layer blood changing, and the more powerful body is the blood changing 7-layer, and it is not his opponent. Nodded with satisfaction, Li Fan ended this practice. If you want to continue ascension, you need a lot of monster core and a lot of merit. These 21 monster cores were refined and compressed by the secret technique, and his cultivation base was moved from the first ascension of the transmutation realm to the top of the first, and it was only one step away from the second floor of the transmutation realm. According to his estimate, it would take about 200 monster cores to advance to the Zhangzong realm. Cultivation Hoshin Ziyu secret technique compression spirit power expands Dantian, so that his ascension cultivation base needs 10 times more resources than others. For ordinary people to cultivate the cultivation base ascension, about 2 monster cores can be used to build the cultivation base ascension, but he needs more than 20. This is just the cultivation of the blood-changing realm. If it reaches a higher realm, the resources it needs will be even more terrifying. At that time, other sects may have to gather the power of the whole family to bring up the realm ascension, which is constantly compressing the accumulation of spirit power. No wonder Dao Jing cultivator is so scarce. These huge resource consumption alone is a tall threshold, blocking 90% of the people out of the door. As for completing the remaining 9 body tempering in exchange for Shui Yanqi blood, even if he can multiply the merits obtained by killing the weird alive by 100-fold, it will be enough to kill 5 weirs. So now there is no way to continue ascension in Sect, only continue to explore demonic beasts. 5 days have passed since the weird invasion. Let's take a look at the situation of this weird invasion of human sect. 3 weird and hundreds of demonic beasts attacked, and I don't know how many sects survived. Opening the world chat interface, Li Fan was surprised by the dazzling variety of information in front of him. Well, are there so many people? Unlike Li Fan's full-screen sad atmosphere and few messages, the chat interface is peaceful and lively. Whoever has the Swap Realm Monster Core, buy a large amount of it, and you can exchange it with Spirit Stones and magical item of 9th grade. What realm have you all reached now? I'm stuck on the 5th floor of the Blood Exchange. The resources required for this level are too huge. The realm of the Transmutation Realm is indeed much more difficult than the Ascension of the Marrow Realm. Upstairs, it's because your qualifications are too bad. You need to achieve the ultimate in each of your realms. The one above is correct. I saw the treasure of Ascension Spirit Power Quality and Physical Tempering in the Hall of Merit. Each realm needs to take these 2 ascension to the extreme before it can be counted as fully exploiting the potential of this realm. Quote. I know what you are talking about is too expensive. A treasure that tempers the flesh costs 50 strands of merit, and the secret technique for tempering spirit power is more expensive than 250 strands of merit. Who can afford it? Quote. There are so many merits that can directly bring the cultivation base ascension to the peak of the martial realm. Even if it consumes more later, it is better than being stuck in a realm. Just so, it's not that we don't want to enhance our background. We also know that the benefits are huge. It can be invincible at the same rank and even defeat the enemy. But I am afraid that I will be killed by the next weird invasion before I can accumulate enough merit. You see, this time there are only 10 demonic beasts under the weird ones, and one of them is in the marrow washing period. The only weird one taking the lead is even the marrow washing peak. Well, this really depends on personal circumstances. Anyway, if I choose ascension, I must become the world's strongest cultivator, and my goal is immortal ascension. Li Fan looked stupid at the news in front of him. Are they all in the blood-changing state? It should be the use of merit to exchange the medicine pill of Ascension Realm, which is not surprising. But why is the strength of the weird group they said is not quite right? Li Fan looked at the total number of users on the system interface, and it was less than 1% less than the number 5 days ago. Everyone basically survived the weird invasion. Li Fan squeezed his eyebrows, and said something was wrong in his heart. I said that the first weird riot could not have such a strong strength, otherwise all mankind will die. There was a deep anger on Li Fan's face. I don't know who wants to kill me, Sect with weird hands. If they fail this time, there will be another one. Fortunately, I will give you this opportunity to see if you can seize it. Li Fan's eyes flickered with cold. 10%. Chapter 27. Stepping out of Sect, Qian Yuanzong is surrounded by a vast jungle. The fog of 1 kilometer around Qian Yuanzong under the cloth of the Kimin formation of the Taiyan has been cleared. In the past few days, 3 weird and 500 demonic beasts were killed, and the fog around Qian Yuanzong was successfully eliminated by 2 kilometers. Now they have cleaned up all 3 kilometers of the surrounding area. The faint sunlight fell on the jungle without fog, and the trees in the forest swayed gently with the wind, as if cheering and rejoicing. In the long years, these trees are finally bathed in warm sunlight again. Li Fan walked in the center of the fresh jungle and couldn't help but sigh. This place has a bit of the world in his memory. Safe, comfortable and calm. It would be great if there were no fog and weirdness in this world, and a strong expectation formed in his mind. But he didn't say anything. Everything needs to be obtained through hard work. He just remembered the thoughts in his heart deeply. The 3-kilometer road was not long, and Li Fan and his party finally returned to the familiar fog. There is a demonic beast in front of the sect leader. Do you want to kill it? A disciple next to Li Fan asked. After a careful look, he confirmed that it was indeed demonic beasts in the marrow washing period. There was nothing unusual in the surroundings. Li Fan faintly replied, take 2 people together, faster. The 3 disciples left the team and rushed towards demonic beasts on the side. Li Fan didn't care about continuing to march into the depths of the mist. This time, his main purpose is to see if he can find the person behind the scenes that caused him trouble with Sect, and kill demonic beasts in weird time by the way. According to the situation, since this person or force can lead a large number of weird and demonic beasts to his sect, then he must have good strength and he must also secretly observe their actions in ambush around Qian Yuanzong. But they did not directly attack Qian Yuanzong. They should have seen the sect formation. They didn't have the power to break through the Taiyan Kimin Great Array, otherwise they would just attack his sect directly. The danger is within the controllable range. Since you dare not directly act on my sect, who has the 6th rank, then I will come out from the big formation to see if you can hold back. Of course, even if they still don't do anything, Li Fan won't care. No one's strength can be faster than his ascension, who has a 100-fold increase. The longer he delays, the more terrifying he and his sect power will be. When the time comes, it will be enough to directly level the surrounding fog and forces. I blame you for any conspiracy and tricks. For this time, it's not a few days since the weird attack, but the strength of Li Fan's disciples has improved a lot. This is all due to the 500 demonic beasts, who provided them with a large amount of inner alchemy. Originally, his sect only had 14 disciples in the exchange realm, plus he only had 15 exchange realms. But now the transmutation realm has reached half of the total number of people. That is, there are 55 transmutation realms in all sect plus him. Strength ascension is not unpleasant, and those monster cores have not been consumed yet, and it will take another 3 to 5 days. All the disciples of his sect will reach the stage of blood replacement. At that time, even the 8th grade sect could not be compared with his sect. It's just that the sect leader myself seems to be a bit dragging his feet, and he's still stuck in the transmutation realm. I'm afraid that his disciples will be taller than his realm in a few days, which would be very embarrassing. Putting away his mind, Li Fan continued to walk towards the depths of the mist. At this time, on a tree 500 meters away from Li Fan and the others, 2 black robes were standing. Yu Qi, what's going on? After a few days of not seeing them and experiencing a weird attack, their strength did not drop but rose. A flat-headed man in a black robe asked the people around him anxiously. This person is Yu Qi's old partner, Wang Qian. Yu Qi was also puzzled. How do I know what's going on? This sect is really evil, and the precious sect array strength ascension is so fast, even the 3 weird can't help them. Weird. You're not afraid of being implicated by the weirdness. You don't have to use monster core. Wang Qian moved in disbelief. Yu Qi said angrily, let your mothers fart. How dare I disobey sect leader's order? I think you just want to fight with me and say I will stay with me to the end. It's okay. Just kidding. It's so grandiose. Wang Qian's eyes flashed with a cold light, and he said with a smile, "Is there anything left in your body to attract monster core? Let's do it again with them. At least you have to know how they escaped such a weird attack. If you don't understand anything, it will be impossible to explain when you go back to sect leader and ask." Hearing this, Yu Qi calmed down. "You were right, and there is the last one in his hand just to try their Jinliang, let's go." As soon as the voice fell, a breeze blew gently, and the two disappeared from the tree. "Hey, it seems that the wind is blowing," Li Fan whispered when he felt the breeze coming from his face. It has been 3 hours since they set off from Qian Yuanzong, and the road can be said to be calm. I didn't even see a few demonic beasts. Not to mention the weirdness and the one he wanted to find, which attracted a lot of weirdness and demonic beasts to Qian Yuanzong. The disciples who followed Li Fan along the way also gradually got bored. "Oh, how come there are so few demonic beasts in this mist, and I haven't seen one? I still want to learn from the weirdness. You can die if you don't brag. You don't know how to write death words when you first arrive at the blood-changing realm. You can kill the strangeness in the blood-changing realm." The disciple said unconvincedly. "How can it be impossible? You see, sect leader is also a blood-changing realm, but a few days ago, one person killed the 3 weird ones. It's so majestic." Since this sentence, a group of people laughed. "You still want to compare yourself with sect leader, and you don't look at the cyan thunder summoned by sect leader that day, can you do it?" This sentence stopped that disciple's question, and his face turned red for a while and he stubbornly didn't know what to say. At this time, Li Fan, who was walking at the forefront of the team, stopped, and the roaring wind scattered his hair. The wind between the trees grew stronger and stronger, the trees creaked and shook for a while, and the fallen leaves were flying all over the sky. "No, there is an exception." Li Fan stopped the disciples and looked at the surrounding jungle with a serious expression. Yu Qi and Wang Qin, who were lurking around, looked at the team of Li Fan and others and sighed inwardly. Then Qian Yuanzong's sect leader is quite clever. Immediately afterwards, a large amount of water mist gathered along with the howling gust of wind, and appeared in front of Li Fan and others. A weird one with a height of 5 meters and the head of an octopus formed from the mist. The indigo skin is covered with layers of scales, and the sticky tentacles on the head resembling an octopus are twisting irregularly. The huge coercion spread from its side to everywhere. Weird pair of cloudy and cold eyes looked at Li Fan quietly. 500 meters away, Yu Qi and Wang Qin looked panicked. This is the devourer of all weird things in the viscera state. Run. This weirdness can't even match the sect leader. Being discovered by it, even death is a delusion. 11%. Chapter 28. Powerful weirdness. The fishy smell rushed to his face, and the strangers covered in viscous body fluid stared at the Qian Yuanzong people in front of him, and let out a hoarse roar. Li Fan looked at the weirdness that suddenly appeared in front of him, his body tight. The feeling this weird gave him was not the same as the 4 killed before, and the sense of depression was very strong. And after watching it for a long time, there will be a sense of dizziness. Turning the palm of his hand, the blazing knife appeared in Li Fan's hand, and the prompt text of the system was also displayed. Before Li Fan could take a closer look, he noticed the fluctuations in the distance between Wang Qian and Yuki, who instigated spirit power to flee. It seems that those 2 people are the ones who have been behind the scenes. Li Fan wanted to set off and stop them. But the terrifying aura of the devourer in front of him tightly locked his body. As long as Li Fan did something, he would be greeted with a stormy attack. Looking lightly at the 2 galloping quickly, Li Fan withdrew his gaze. "Since you are sure that someone is really making trouble behind you, don't worry, wait until the weirdness in front of you is resolved, and then explore the traces left by them. The devourer of all things, weird strength at the pinnacle. Don't be caught by it, it will swallow everything about you, including your soul. A skill, a talent, a weakness, a. It's like this again, the weird who is too strong can't see any useful information at all." Li Fan secretly smacked his tongue. Seeing the sharp claws and the strange appearance, he knew the danger, and he was using the system size to not be caught. He glanced at the many pale disciples behind him. This time he was trying to lure the snake out of the cave. In order to avoid being discovered by the enemy's specific strength, Li Fan only brought 3 disciples of the transmutation realm into the mist this time. However, even if the disciples are all in the transgender realm, it is estimated that they will not be able to escape the weirdness of the peak of nourishing dirt in front of them. You can only fight head-on. Li Fan gave an order to let many disciples in the marrow washing period step back to avoid being affected by the aftermath, and then led the 3 exchange blood disciples to rush forward. The octopus human body was weird. Seeing Lin Fan leaving, he yelled in a weird voice, not knowing what it meant. Then a pair of octopus-like tentacles struggling to emerge from the position of the shoulder blades behind. Both feet fiercely greeted the four Li Fan. Li Fan and the octopus collided head-on weirdly, and the blazing knife from the bottom up was easily blocked by an arm covered with scales. The violent collision blew up the surrounding leaves. Boom! Li Fan was suddenly bounced away by the huge force from the blade, and his body retreated 7 or 8 meters away one after another. Don't be attacked by it head-on. As a reminder, Li Fan continued to rush forward. Hearing Li Fan's reminder, the other 3 disciples suddenly changed this slightly to deal with the weird, waiting for the opportunity to find a gap to attack the weird. The turbid gaze of the devourer looked at the few people in front of him calmly, without a trace of fluctuation. His body was swelling, his already strong body expanded a few more times, and his sturdy arms swelled with blue veins. He casually grabbed the Feiyan sword that a disciple had stabbed over. It squeezed into 2 pieces with a click, leaving no trace on the sharp claws. It seems that what was crushed just now was not a magical item but a tree branch. The disciple of Qian Yuanzong whose long sword was destroyed was frightened, and just about to retreat, he found a huge fist hitting his abdomen heavily. The shattered internal organs and jet black blood spewed out together, and the figure of this disciple flew more than 10 meters away. The 3 of Li Fan's eyes were distraught, but they didn't dare to randomly approach and attack each other for a while. Looking at the 3 disciples around him, Li Fan knew that their strength would not have any effect on the weirdness in front of him. Let the 3 of them retreat to take care of the seriously injured disciple. Li Fan lifted his knife luckily to meet the weirdness. Ding, bang, boom. Every time the blaze knife slashed on the weird body, a burst of sparks sputtered. The sharp blade can only leave shallow white marks on the weird scales. And Weird would not let him attack motionlessly. A pair of sharp claws and 2 tentacles on his back brought the sound of breaking through the air, and violently responded. Li Fan mentioned the 12-point spirit, and he had already seen the tragic situation of that disciple just now. Even though he had passed the body tempering of Shui Yunqi blood, he had only tempered his physical body once, and the strength might not be enough to resist such a fierce and huge force. Facing the weird and rapid attack, Li Fan's body tossed around, even though there was an attack that could not be avoided. Can only be resisted with a fiery knife. Just when Li Fan used the side of the blade to block a tentacle from the weird attack, his arm was shaken by the tremendous force. His figure can't help but stop. Immediately after the storm-like attack hit, Li Fan fell into a slump. This weird power is too great, and the speed is very sharp. If it goes on like this, if I can't keep up with it, I will be killed. Li Fan was also very anxious, and his 5 thunder supernatural powers might not be able to hit accurately in the face of such extremely fast weirdness. But there is only one chance to release supernatural powers. What should I do? The devourer of all things noticed the sluggishness of Li Fan's actions, his body flashed abruptly, and a sharp claw attacked Li Fan's back. A weird attack was detected, but Li Fan had no time to dodge the fierce attack, so he could only deflect one side of his body as best he could. Pump! The sharp claws penetrated into the flesh, piercing Li Fan's shoulders. Enduring the severe pain, Li Fan hit the weird chest at the right moment. The powerful reaction force allowed Li Fan to take the opportunity to leave the distance with the weird. Tick to tick. A large amount of blood dripped from Li Fan's fingertips to the ground. The shoulder muscles were completely severed, and his left hand was no longer able to exert force. The war was plunged into crisis for a while. Li Fan gasped heavily. The devourer of all things stretched out the sharp claws stained with Li Fan's blood to his mouth without any haste, and the deep blue tongue rolled the blood into his mouth, making a satisfying neigh. Sect leader. Sect leader. The anxious voice of the Qian Yuanzong disciple standing in the distance heard Li Fan's arm being weird. One by one didn't care if they were this weird opponent one after another protecting Li Fan. Weird slowly moved towards everyone. Li Fan looked anxiously. Run. You are not its opponents. No, there is no reason to watch the sect leader fight the enemy bloodily in front, but we, as disciples, hide behind and linger. Many disciples stood in front of Li Fan with red eyes, and pointed their swords at the devourer. After getting along these days, whether they are the old disciples of Qian Yuanzong or the newly joined disciples of Ling Yunzong, they all had a deep respect for Li Fan. As sect leader, he woke up their disciples, which were originally haunting. They brought them back to Sect, who had lost the sect leader in Lingyun sect, and cultivated them equally. A large number of medicine pill, monster core gave them regardless of cost, ascension strength for them. It can be said that without Li Fan, they would have died in the weird riots a few days ago. Li Fan gave their lives and their hope of survival. They had faced the tragic death of the same door before, and the death of relatives and friends had already retreated once. If they retreat this time, they may never stand up again in their lifetime. Rather than living with fear and guilt, death may be more valuable to them. Sect leader, go quickly, and stay in the Green Hills without fear of firewood. Qian Yuanzong will become stronger and stronger with your lead. We believe you will avenge us. The faces of immature or vicissitudes of life were reflected in Li Fan's eyes with a decisive aura. They flushed their eyes, pursed their pale lips, and blocked their sect leader with their thin bodies. Although they are weak at this moment, they are also strong. 11%. Chapter 29 The Weirdness Must Die. Ah, ha ha ha. Li Fan laughed loudly, resisting the painful chest being hit by the huge force. As a person who traveled through, he felt a sense of identification with this world and this sect for the first time. He just came to this world before, and he just used the sect and sect disciples as a tool and a resource. A prop that can help you become stronger and live in this world. But I forgot that they are also a living person. The king treats me as a state scholar, and I will repay the state scholar. This sentence was perfectly reflected in these Qian Yuanzong disciples. At this moment, it was also deeply imprinted in Li Fan's heart. He slid the fiery knife on the ground and slowly stood up straight. Seeing everyone in front of him who was surprised by his laughter with puzzled faces, a wave of pride rose in his heart. It's really shameful that the weirdness of the pinnacle of nourishing the dirty can also frighten him. It's just weird, you can kill it. Li Fan did not speak, but proved his meaning with actions. As a sect leader, he will not and cannot leave his disciples and run away by himself. The rich and pure spirit power in Dantian continues to agitate. The strong physical muscles are tight. The blade of the burning sword became more and more bright red. With one step, Li Fan rushed to the front of the crowd. Bang bang bang. 3 swords hit the same weird elbow, and the powerful spirit power burst out and cut off the arm covered with scales forcibly. Regardless of the sharp claws on the other side. The sharp claw pierced out, and Li Fan's waist and abdomen forcefully sent the left arm of his hand to the striking claw. Large swaths of flesh and blood are flying, and Li Fan's left arm is already showing pale bones. At this time, the many disciples of Qian Yuanzong also followed, one by one, with their long swords in their hands against the weird shoulder joints, elbow joints, knee sockets and the 2 tentacles behind them. They continued to slash their swords. Regardless of whether it can cause substantial damage, as long as it can help Li Fan involve some weird energy, it is enough for them. Li Fan didn't say a word, a large amount of spirit power surged, and abruptly activated. One thigh that weird didn't have time to retreat was all broken. The thigh was severed, and the weird figure was a little shaky. It roared angrily, and the 2 tentacles behind it struck again and again. Everyone around it was knocked into the air. Li Fan couldn't avoid it, and was drawn by sharp tentacles. He vomited blood, but the corners of his mouth showed a cheerful smile. The opportunity has come. Damn it, it's true that Daddy is muddled. Dark clouds cover the top and strong winds strike. Yuqing Shiqing, the true talisman tells the alliance. Move the second sea, mix one into reality. 5 thunders and 5 thunders, anxious to meet Huang Ning. Encountered changes, roaring lightning fast. The sound is coming, and the sound of the sun will be heard quickly. The huge cyan thunder quickly condensed above the weird head. The devourer of everything, even when his limbs were severed just now, Dugujing Wubo's face finally showed anxious expression. The mucus in the thighs and arms that had been severed just now kept surging, and within a short period of time, new limbs were slowly condensing. It will resume action in 10 seconds. Unfortunately, there is no time. Li Fan's right hand trick was done, and the all-encompassing cyan thunder suddenly shot down. The tall devourer struggled and roared in the blue thunder. But it didn't work at all. Hard scale armor, twisted tentacles, hideous head. One after another turned into fly ash in the electric light. Standing on one side of the disciples, seeing the terrifying weirdness finally disappeared under the thunder light of Li Fan's display place, they all showed excitement. That is the excitement of the rest of the life, that is the unspeakable reverence. This time, Li Fan, who displayed the 5 thunder supernatural powers, did not faint like the last time, but felt a little empty in his body. I don't know if it is due to physical enhancement or realm ascension. Li Fan has some doubts in his mind. But after a while, the doubt on Li Fan's face was covered with deep anger. Well, you are so courageous, you can use such a big handwriting every time, and even the weirdness of raising the dirty peak can be drawn by you. Li Fan looked at the place where Wang Qianyu and she had fled just now, said in a low voice. Sect leader, you beheaded this weird but you were also seriously injured, or forget it this time, let's go back to Sect and heal your injuries. Several disciples looked at Li Fan worriedly, as if they were afraid that he would suddenly die. Li Fan shook his head and explained to them. He still has things to do in a while. Ask all the disciples to stay by his side first, and return to Sect by themselves when he recovers spirit power in his lower body after healed his injuries. Li Fan's injury actually looked serious, but it was just a skin injury. After swallowing a few pills of healing medicine pill, Li Fan's wound also stopped bleeding, and the large pieces of blood missing from the wound slowly began to squirm, but it would take a few days to fully heal. Li Fan didn't care either. He was only going to explore the traces left by the two for a while to see if he could find the specific location of the force that entrapped him. Make plans after finding a specific location. After all, other people know the location of his sect, so it's not too convenient to make some small actions. On the other hand, Li Fan knows nothing about the opponent, it is not his style to be passively beaten. After healed his injuries, Li Fan forcibly persuaded everyone to go back. These disciples didn't listen at first, and they reluctantly went back after seeing Li Fan getting angry. Li Fan felt the spirit power in his body, and traced the traces left by the two of them when they fled in a panic. I met many demonic beasts along the way, and Li Fan didn't disturb them either, but instead concealed his figure and detoured from the side road. Gradually, the terrain gradually widened, and the narrow forest path turned into a wide road that was big enough for troikas to travel side by side. Li Fan was alert, knowing that he should have found a place. Stopping his figure, Li Fan leapt over a tree, looking out from a height. A complex of buildings covering a large area comes into view. The 5-story black Great Hall stands in the center of the building complex. The rest are surrounded by 1- and 2-story rooms, located around the Great Hall, making the tall Great Hall even more majestic. Humph, the house is well built. Li Fan snorted and continued to observe. There is no fog for 3 kilometers around Sect, so it seems to be an 8-rank sect. There is no spirit power fluctuation outside of Sect, that is, there is no big array of Sect, which saves a lot of trouble. Li Fan's eyes looked around, suddenly concentrating. He saw the 2 people who had just hidden near him and let out the weird octopus. Hey, I didn't expect to report to the sect leader that Qian Yuanzong sect leader has died in the hands of the devourers they let out. It's not enough. We have to let the 2 of us go to the scene to bring the body back. Wang Qian said complainingly. Okay, since sect leader has spoken, what can I do? I have to go and stop complaining if I don't want to go. Although Yu Qi was unwilling in his heart, he still replied. Wang Qian looked at Yu Qi next to him and opened his mouth. I'm not complaining, it's just that the devourer is too terrifying, and I don't know whether to leave, if we go out and be hit by it. Yu Qi interrupted him with a black face. Try to be careful. Let's observe from a distance and make sure that there is no danger before passing. The 2 sighed together, lamenting their toiled destiny. Li Fan's figure was hidden among the dense leaves, quietly watching the 2 walking towards him, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. 11%. Chapter 30 Blood for blood, tooth for tooth. The distance was too far. Li Fan did not hear the conversation between the 2 clearly. But looking at the direction the 2 were moving forward, he probably guessed what they thought. It is estimated to confirm that the people of Qian Yuanzong and him are dead. In Li Fan's mind, he was worried that he didn't understand the specific strength of the sect in front of him, but he saw Yu Qi and Wengqin coming alone. Just give him a chance. But it was still too close to their sect, and Li Fan disappeared from the tree in a flash. Wang Qian's figure was speeding in the mist, and there was still a wave of worry in his heart. He faintly felt uneasy after coming out of Sect. The expression was tangled for a while, gritted his teeth or opened his mouth and said, Yu Qi, you said that these dirty and tiring tasks were done by the 2 of us, especially the 2 times that caused the weirdness to take our lives to risk, so you don't have to worry about it. Yu Qi's expression paused, and he asked knowingly, what are you worried about? Fate, are you afraid of losing your life? Wang Qian said immediately. He ignored the silent Yu Qi, he said to himself. At the beginning, I came out of the village to join Gemenzong, firstly to exchange some food for the sick mother at home, and secondly to survive. No one in this world knows that the weirdness in the fog is getting more and more terrifying. If you want to survive, you have to do whatever you can to get into the Ascension cultivation base. You have to be better than the weird, or at least better than most people, so that when you encounter the weird you have a chance to kill the weird or escape from the weird. I have been stuck on the 4th floor of this exchange for 10 years. I haven't had enough resources for the Ascension cultivation base for 10 years. What about you? You have stayed on the 3rd floor of the blood exchange for 7 or 8 years. We have been running around for the sect leader day and night. How many resources have been found, and how many 9th rank sects have been slaughtered for him? As a result, the entire Ghost Sect's resources are in the hands of Sect Leader, and the Spirit Stone's medicine pill that is allocated is very small, and we have to do all the dirty work. If this continues, we will die in weird hands or wait until we are not used. Value is not necessarily in the hands of Sect Leader. Enough. Yu Qi roared angrily. What can I do? Sect Leader saved my life. Wang Qian teased, are you saying that Sect brought you back from your village 10 years ago? Ha ha ha, it's ridiculous. Don't you wonder how so many people in your village know that your 30 children have survived? And why are you the only one of these 30 children now? Wang Qian's words were like a needle piercing Yu Qi's heart, his eyes bursting with anger and fierce complexion, his body's spirit power agitated his hands and grasped the long knife at his waist. What do you mean? Seeing that he was angered to the extreme, Wang Qian didn't irritate him anymore. Pointing his feet on the branches and moving quickly, he said coldly, 10 years ago, Sect Leader needed to refine a magic gun with a lot of human blood sacrifices, and the quality of the Ascension magic gun needed 3. The pure Sun Soul sacrificial spear of 10 children. You said it was such a coincidence. When you came back from your village, Sect Leader's magic gun was trained. Your playmates are dead, and Sect Leader's magic gun has also made a breakthrough. You really never doubted it at all. The howling sword Qi slashed towards Wang Qian who was walking ahead. With a cry, the long sword came out of its sheath. Wang Qian swung his sword to meet, blocking the long sword. The two stopped and looked at each other. After a while, Yu Qi's long sword fell weakly, clenched his fists and said, what the hell do you mean? Wang Qian twitched at the corner of his mouth and spat in disdain. Since everything is fake, let's betray Sect. Then Qian Yuanzong has a sect formation. The Sect Leader may not be able to break through, and Qian Yuanzong should also have a lot of good things. If the resources are enough, we can break through to the dirt-raising realm. When the two people are added together, the Sect Leader will not be afraid. Yu Qi stared at his teammates who had worked together for many years, as if he had known him for the first time. It seems you have planned. Each other, your acting skills are also good, you will know the virtues of Sect Leader tomorrow, and you can act for so long. Yu Qi smiled upon hearing this. The deaths of the people in his village were too coincidental, and the deaths of his friends were too weird. He had long suspected that this matter had something to do with the Sect Leader of the Ghost Sect, but he had been waiting for an opportunity. He has endured humiliation in the Gemenzong for so many years, just to remove the head of Mu Quan, Sect Leader of Gemenzong himself. Now that the opportunity is here, the Qian Yuanzong Sect Leader will undoubtedly die, and he may not have the opportunity to avenge his hatred when he gets Qian Yuanzong's resources. The two looked at each other, and it hit it off. Papa! A burst of clear applause came from behind the two. Li Fan looked at the two people in front of him quietly, and couldn't help applauding for their previous speech. It's wonderful, I'm almost moved by what you said, why don't you talk about it? Li Fan laughed playfully. Both Yu Qi and Wang Qin's faces changed color, and they said in amazement, are you not dead? Li Fan didn't speak, leaning on the tree trunk without a trace of expression on his face. As a sect leader who owns a large sect array, I really have 2 brushes, but you don't feel good, right? Wang Qian looked at Li Fan's faintly bleeding shoulder and said. Li Fan smiled coldly, thanks to you, otherwise I don't know that I am so strong, and the peak of the filth is weird. Yu Qi and Wang Qin glanced at each other, not convinced that he could kill the terrifying devourer. Yu Qi whispered, don't listen to his bluffing. Facing the weirdness, don't say that he is the first level of the blood-changing realm. Even Mu Quan can't get out of his body. Wang Qian nodded. The two drew out their weapons, spirit power burst out and attacked Li Fan. Li Fan was also happy to see them making a shot together, just because he didn't want to talk nonsense. His figure flashed, and the burning knife fell in his hand. Chang Chang 3 times. A long and narrow wound appeared on Wang Qian's chest. You are so strong. Li Fan, who was too lazy to talk nonsense, kept on swinging his sword at Wang Qian. Li Fan's seemingly calm eyes were full of anger, and it was because they too spurred strange attacks on him. Had it not been for the Heavenly Tao reward plus the 5 Thunder supernatural powers obtained by the system increase, I would have never known how many times he died. The fiery blade, which contained a strong anger, attacked swiftly, and shot down the 2 weapons in less than 10 moves. They slashed out together, and deep knife marks appeared on the legs of the 2 of them. Yuqi Wengqin was severely injured in 2 legs, unable to stand, so he could only kneel on the ground. Li Fan did not rush to abolish or kill them. Some things need to give people a little hope, even if it is so small that there is no hope, they will hold on as a life-saving straw. If they directly abolish their cultivation base, knowing that they can't survive in the mist, they probably won't be able to say anything. Li Fan looked down at the 2 people in front of him, and said coldly, I ask, you said, leave one arm and FK off after talking. That's it, we tell you everything we know. The 2 cut off their left arms after they finished speaking. His forehead was painful and sweating, and his body trembled slightly and said, can you let us go? Li Fan turned sideways. The 2 picked up the severed limbs and were about to return in the direction of Sect. Zheng. The flames of red blades flashed past, and the bodies of the 2 men walking towards the mist broke into 2 pieces. When Wang Qian was dying, he was still whispering, I knew. He died straight after he said it. Li Fan took out a small package from the arms of the 2. Then used spirit power to melt flames and burn the 2 bodies clean. Li Fan looked at the 2 groups of ashes and said in a low voice, everyone in this world has had a hard time, not just you. I am a person who does things in 8 words, blood for blood and tooth for tooth. After speaking, he glanced at the direction of Ghost Sect and turned and left. The next one will be you, Sect Leader, Mu Quan. 12%. Chapter 31 Ready to Fight. Back to Qian Yuanzong Sect's Li Fan, sitting on a chair in the wooden house. From his arms, he took out the 2 packages obtained by beheading Wang Qian and Yuki just now. The slap-sized cloth package couldn't hold much, so I poured everything out. The 2 add up to a total of 12 spirit stones. In addition to the 2 dark iron plates depicting the head of the beast, they should be Sect's identity tokens. Throwing the iron metal aside, Li Fan focused his attention on a porcelain bottle in Wang Qian's package. Not knowing what it was, Li Fan looked at the porcelain bottle cautiously. Li Fan is very careful about the evil ways of the Ghost Sect. The things these people carry with them may be strange poisons such as corpse-changing pills and ecstasy. Li Fan took out the burning knife and used the tip of the knife to pick up the cork at the top of the bottle, always watching the movement of the porcelain bottle. After seeing nothing unusual, Li Fan walked over and picked up the porcelain bottle. It turned out to be a refined monster core of the transmutation realm. I didn't expect this Wang Qian to have something good. Li Fan was a little surprised. Although these things don't seem to be many, they can't stand him for a 100-fold increase. Putting the medicine pill and the scattered spirit stones away, Li Fan heard the pleasant prompt sound. A ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and obtaining spirit stones 1200. A ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a 100-fold increase, and getting a 100 replenishment pill 200. The Beizhuan Qi pill is a pill made from monster core in the transmutation realm. With these medicine pill, he has the capital to advance the dirty realm. Just not knowing if it was enough, Li Fan was a little worried and took out 200 spirit stones to the trading interface to collect it for a long time. I bought 10 monster cores in the swap realm and the elixir needed to refine monster cores. Now he is running short of time, so he has no time to go to the mist to waste time just trying to be so small. It is estimated that it will not be long before Mu Quan, the sect leader of the Ghost Sect, finds that Yuqi and Yuqi have not returned to Sect. I'm afraid he will soon lead his disciple elder to attack Qian Yuanzong. Although the specific strength of the Ghost Sect was obtained from the second population of Wang Qian. Among them, sect leader Mu Quan's strength on the 5th level of the internal organs, there are about 30 disciples in the exchange realm, and the rest there are hundreds of disciples in the marrow cleansing realm. Such strength is naturally not afraid of Qian Yuanzong's current strength, but in case the two of them conceal any important news from him. Or sect leader Mu Quan of the Ghost Sect, with a little hidden hole card, simple things will become very troublesome. So now ascension is his only goal to raise the dirty realm. As long as he is promoted to the dirty state, he won't be afraid even if Mu Quan has any hole cards in his hand. And 8-pin sect. Hey, Li Fan is full of expectations for the sect level ascension in his heart. I don't know if it will bring him some unexpected surprises. These people came to this place and knew nothing about the world. The only difference was the sect system that covered the entire blue star human. This system is so powerful that it can pull 7 billion humans from another world to the entire weird misty world. The purpose should be more than just letting them fight monsters and build power as simple as playing a game. Sorting out his ideas, Li Fan handed over the refining materials he had just bought to Ren Guan, so that he could refine them as soon as possible. Afterwards, 2 cultivation techniques were started, and the closed-door training breakthrough was quasi-started. Grabbing a handful of 100 Chi replenishing pills from his backpack, Li Fan didn't count them all, and directly stuffed them into his mouth, fully supporting his cheeks. Well, Shunyan Ho Shen Ziyu's secret burden is too annoying, it takes so many ammunition for one stabbing. Li Fan muttered vaguely, with a trace of worry on his face. Then a large amount of spirit power erupted at his dantian, and purple energy rose within 3 feet of his body. Dantian's purple air cluster is also becoming more active, constantly circling the spiritual chi that suddenly enters the body. Li Fan, who has entered the spiritual state, can't feel the passage of time at all, but waits until he is really hungry. Only then will he pick up the food delivered by his disciples and take 2 bites, and then continue to concentrate on running the cultivation technique to digest the medicine pill. During this period, only when Ren Guan came to deliver the 10 medicine pills that had been refined, did he stop and rest for a while. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. Li Fan's purple energy slowly subsided, and his cultivation base also broke through to the visceral nourishing state. Li Fan looked inwardly, looked at the spirit power water mass that was more than twice as large in his body, and smiled with satisfaction. Spirit power, which has been tempered by the Ho Shen Ziyu secret technique, has all turned from mist to water, and the drops of spirit power gather into water masses. The sound of waves hitting the rock wall was heard as the spirit power water group was running, and the surging spirit power rushed in Li Fan's body. After some time observation, Li Fan discovered that the benefit of spirit power quality assurance is not only that spirit power is more profound and longer than the same realm cultivator, it is only basic. He found that when he was running martial skill, the power of martial skill also increased a lot. This was not obvious when he had just tempered the spirit power once in the transplantation realm. It was only when his spirit power became more and more profound that he could clearly feel it. It's like a slash, the same as the cultivator running a layer of spirit power to strike out, and the power he uses is 30% higher than the same cultivator. This is the qualitative change caused by high quality. Li Fan got up and slashed hard on his arm with the 7-rank magical item blaze knife, and found that only a shallow wound had formed, and within half a minute the shallow wound had healed by itself. This is the effect he has achieved by continuing to perform body tempering with water and blood in the past few days. Last time he beheaded the devourer of all things, Realm, the pinnacle of nourishing filth, Heavenly Tao rewarded him with 2 wisps of Heavenly Tao merit. After the 100-fold increase of the system, it became 200 strands, without hesitation. Li Fan went directly to the mysterious starry sky palace and exchanged 4 more water clouds. In addition to the previous tempering, his body tempering in the transmutation realm has reached 5 times, and it was only 4 times short of completion. Originally, he wanted to wait until body tempering 9 times before being promoted to the Zhang Zhang Jing. However, I was prompted to exchange merit for Great Hall, and the tempering of the physical body and realm had no effect. This means that even if he reaches the Zhang Zhang realm, he can still temper his body with the secret treasure of the transmutation realm water Yunqi blood, and it means that even if his cultivation base is not ascension. I have been raising the dirty realm from now on. As long as I have enough merits, I can still exchange for more advanced geniuses to temper my physical body, and use my physical body to reach the strength of the innate realm and even the Tao realm. If he really does that, it is estimated that he can scare people into a fool when facing a high realm cultivator. To sling innate realm cultivator by raising the dirty environment, who is not afraid to see it. Putting away the fire knife, Li Fan also has a general understanding of own strength. With his current secret technique tempering spirit power, he has reached the 1st level of the Zhang nourishing realm plus the 5th level of body tempering. It can also fight against the peak of nourishing the dirty. Suddenly, there was a sudden knock on Li Fan's door. 12%. Chapter 32 The Ghost Sect is coming. To Sect leader that a large number of unidentified black robe cultivators have gathered near the mist of Qian Yuanzong, and they are now about to enter the territory of Qian Yuanzong 3 kilometers. I don't know if it is necessary to organize disciples to warn them and clear them out. There was a cold light in Li Fan's eyes, black robe cultivator. It came just right. Don't pay attention to them, it's okay to let them continue to approach, anyway, Sect is blocking it. Li Fan said flatly. You go out and gather all the disciples, and let them gather at the Great Hall of the Sect. After speaking, Li Fan got up and went out with the disciple. Just now Li Fan heard this disciple's report, and knew that it should be the sect leader of the Ghost Sect leader Mu Guangban who led the disciple to attack Qian Yuanzong. Li Fan didn't care when he entered the Viscera state. It just happens to have a huge strength. Ascension is missing a whetstone. Try your own Jinliang. Mu Quan hurriedly rushed over to give the head away. It's really sleepy that someone will pass the pillow. Li Fan came to the Great Hall of the Sect and smiled while looking at the large number of black-robed cultivators approaching in the distance, whispering to himself Road. It's just that his smile feels so cold to the bone. In front of the light blue Taiyan Kimen, 500 or 600 cultivators in uniform black costumes stood quietly. In front of many black-clothed cultivators, a bare-chested old man with a square face and knotted muscles sits on a black jade chair. The dark jade chair was carried by 4 sturdy men. The jade chair looked heavy, but the 4 were effortless. Li Fan looked at the square-faced old man in front of Sect's big formation. He turned his eyes and cut with disdain. Good guy, I thought I saw Ding Chuncho by this posture. The disciples around Li Fan didn't understand his complaints, but all the old men who looked at the opposite side solemnly. Hengqing looked at Li Fan and said in a low voice, Be careful, sect leader, this popular machine is so powerful and powerful. Bufin, a light sweep of his eyes made the disciples startled in a cold sweat, fearing that realm is not bad. Li Fan glanced at the prompts given by the system and said indifferently, It's not a big deal, just a bunch of chicken dogs who only get some inferior tricks behind their backs. Everyone in Qian Yuanzong saw their sect leader calmly, and they did not put the opposite cultivator to put in Onia's eyes, all at ease. Since sect leader said it is a local chicken, it must be a local chicken. Seeing that Li Fan has turned the danger into a bargain for many times and used the powerful power of thunder to kill the powerful and weird, they now worship Li Fan blindly. It's just that Heng Qing's eyes still have some worries. After all, the fluctuation of spirit power of the square-faced old man also looks very appalling. The people in the Ghost Sect on the opposite side heard Li Fan's arrogant words and couldn't help it. He glanced at Mu Quan who was sitting on the chair slightly, and exclaimed, A group of wild repairmen saw us. Sect leader, don't hurry up and bow down. Tie up the ranting kid next to you and give a sect leader kowtow to plead guilty. Maybe our sect leader is in a good mood and we can leave a whole body of you. Li Fan didn't get angry or anxious when he heard these words, and just watched the clowns playing in front of them indifferently. Many disciples of Qian Yuanzong saw that Li Fan ignored each other, but they couldn't stand the sect leader who was insulted by others. A disciple cursed with an anger on his face. QNMD, don't be embarrassed by a group of clowns here. Go back and prepare the funeral for the old man opposite you. Looking at him at a very old age, he has to go unfavorable and has to be carried. Don't fight and be trampled to death by one of us. We don't pay for spirit stones. These words made a group of Qian Yuanzong disciples amused. The disciple felt encouraged by the laughter of the crowd. It directly turned into a land key fairy and breathed out fragrance. A group of people are still wearing black in the fog, for fear that others will recognize you, right? Did you take a peek at which village widow was taking a bath and was discovered? All of you dutiful sons don't know that you care about your old father, and let him peek at people taking a bath when he is so old, and you are not afraid of passing away in situ. Everyone in the Ghost Sect was blushing when they heard such vulgar words from the opposite side, and they wanted to curse back in a blink of an eye. Mu Quan, sitting on the Moyu chair, heard a little disciple of Qian Yuanzong daring to insult him like this, and snorted coldly. A beast head magic spear burst out of the air and pierced the head of the disciple who had just spoken out loud. The scolding and happy disciple of Qian Yuanzong didn't panic dodge when he saw a long spear rushing towards him. Just stand quietly. Their Qian Yuanzong disciples had long known that their sect great array was powerful, and they mentioned that even if the people at the peak of the martial realm came, they wouldn't even want to hurt the great array. At this moment, I didn't panic at all. Sure enough, the magic spear carrying thousands of hissing ghost howls was blocked by the pale blue light curtain. A slight wave splashed on it, and it was bounced out. Mu Quan was shocked when he saw that his temptation blow was blocked so easily. With my strength and the full strength of the 6th rank magical item, I can't shake the formation at all. Is this big formation above the 7th rank? Mu Quan calmly recalled the spear that had flown out, and said, The formation of Qian Yuanzong is really good, and I heard from the disciple before that a remote small group next door had good luck to get a precious formation. It looks like this is true now, but you, a mere 9th grade sect, can really rely on this big array to shrink for a lifetime. As long as I lead my disciples to surround your entire sect, sooner or later, you will run out of ammunition and food to maintain this large formation. There will be a lot of spirit stones. Do you have enough spirit stones to support it? If the spirit stones that maintain the great formation are exhausted, you will not escape death. Never mind, I can spare your lives for the sake of this big formation, and I can take you into my ghost sect. This time I will only take the lives of you, sect leader, and others. Let alone the past. After speaking, Mu Quan's eyes flickered, and he quietly looked at the people of Qian Yuanzong. Many disciples of the ghost sect also came back to their senses and laughed loudly. Have you seen the spirit stones, you wastes from the remote areas? This time the opening of this high-ranking array is probably emptying the family. Hurry up. Don't rush, take advantage of our sect leader's mercy and knelt down to apologize, and save a few spirit stones for your sect leader to buy a better coffin. That is, a bunch of poor ghosts pretending to be big-tailed wolves. Listening to the clamor of a group of ghost sects opposite, Qian Yuanzong disciples didn't know what to say. Although they are now able to receive a piece of spirit stones every month for their practice. But I don't know how many spirit stones my sect leader has, and how many spirit stones the sect team usually consumes to maintain them. For a while, I was really worried about the lack of spirit stones. Li Fan looked at Mu Quan and the Gemenzong disciples one by one. Can't help but want to laugh. Are you talking about this? 13%. Chapter 33. With a wave of Li Fan's hand, the 1,000 spirit stones taken out of the backpack piled up on the ground into a hill. A crystal clear hill of spirit stones emitting a faint spiritual chi made both the Gemenzong and Qian Yuanzong disciples look at it. Mu Quan looked gloomy when he saw that Li Fan took out a large number of spirit stones while he waved his hand. He had just finished talking about the fact that the spirit stones of the opponent were not enough to support the consumption of the large array. The opponent immediately took out a hill of spirit stones, which really slapped his face with a slap. But in a blink of an eye, his eyes heated up again. Storage magical item, this is storage magical item. This Qian Yuanzong must have obtained a complete relic treasure, otherwise it would never be possible to have so many treasures. First, the sect formation above the 7th stage, followed by a large number of spirit stones that appeared out of thin air. This makes Mu Quan directly think of the mysterious fairy gate ruins. Mu Quan secretly thought in his heart that if this immortal gate remains in his hands, it would not be impossible for him to break through from the visceral realm to the innate realm or even innate. The preciousness of an immortal gate remains unimaginable, and it must have not been fully explored with the strength of the 9th rank sect of Qian Yuanzong. The Gemenzong disciple didn't see the fanatical eyes of his sect leader. But one by one was dazzled by the spirit stones in front of them, and couldn't say a word. Li Fan didn't care about their expressions, and took out 1,000 spirit stones from his backpack and piled them on the ground. At this time, everyone in the two sects was boiling. The disciple of the ghost sect opened his mouth wide and exclaimed, it turns out that sect is the poor. Qian Yuanzong's disciples were also shocked one after another, it turns out that sect is so rich. I thought we were really paupers. Mu Quan looked at the big formation and spirit stones in front of him, his eyes couldn't move away, he had already regarded these things as his own property. After taking a deep breath, Mu Quan looked at Li Fan solemnly and said, did you find a relic of a fairy gate? Li Fan's mind didn't turn around for a moment, and he didn't know what Mu Quan meant. Seeing that Li Fan didn't reply, Mu Quan shook his head and continued, forget it, I can accept you as a disciple, as long as you give me the location and access method of the ruins. As long as there are things I need in the ruins, I can even reward you with my 6th rank magical item. You have no future in a mere 9th grade sect. Even if you have a lot of resources, you can't survive the weird tide once a year. The importance of the sect grade is far beyond your imagination. The 9th rank sect is just a common name in the world. It is not a real sect at all. Only those sects who have received the command of the domain owner to communicate with Heavenly Tao and are protected by Heavenly Tao can be promoted to the 8th-rank sect, and the 8th-rank sect can be regarded as the real sect. Mu Quan said more and more, and Li Fan's expression became more and more serious. He lifted a corner of the mysterious veil of this world for Li Fan. Only once a year weird tides, domain masters, warrants, Heavenly Tao shelter, and 8th-rank sects are considered true sects. Too much information made Li Fan unable to understand for a while. Seeing Li Fan's solemn expression, a smile came across Mu Quan's mouth. The ruins of the fairy gate will be available soon. Mu Quan continued to speak. Sect, who is sheltered by heavenly Tao, will reduce his presence in the eyes of the weird in the weird tide once a year, so that the weird will rarely notice Sect. At that time, a sect only needs to face and resist a few weirdness to survive, and a sect that has not been approved by heavenly Tao will face a complete wave of weirdness. Even Tao realm powerhouses can't survive the terrifying endless weirdness. You can't reach the city of Kinglan tens of thousands of miles away to see the domain master. Even if you see the domain owner, you know how precious a domain owner's warrant that can communicate with heavenly Tao is. A warrant, and therefore came to this place to establish the ghost sect. After Mu Quan explained, he stopped talking, but waited quietly for Li Fan to close the array and offer the address of the ruins with both hands. He believed that as long as a normal person would make such a choice. After all, the 8-rank sect is not that easy to build. With one person, he walked out of the fog of tens of thousands of miles, saw the domain master and exchanged it for a domain master's warrant. Don't even think about it. No one in this world can do it. The sect leaders in this world use various methods to obtain the domain master warrants in various nearby areas before going to various places to establish sects. The so-called 9th-rank sects are composed of ordinary disciples who have either been exiled or defected from each sect protected by heavenly Tao. They didn't understand that without sect's shelter, they would soon die at the hands of the weird. Those people are just poor people at the bottom who don't understand the truth of the world. Today, he can talk so much to Li Fan in order to obtain the relics of the fairy gate, which is already for the sake of the treasures of the relics. Even if he waits until Li Fan closes the big formation and waits for him to get behind the ruins, he will be killed immediately, and even if he let Li Fan die and understand that he should thank himself. Li Fan also murmured in his heart at this time, I am a person who has traveled from other worlds. I don't know much about the background of this world. I don't know if what he said just now is true or not. Is it true that promotion to rank 8 sect really requires the so-called domain master's warrant to communicate with heavenly Tao? Who is the so-called domain owner and who elected it, heavenly Tao? Quote. Why didn't the system give a prompt saying that this thing is needed for promotion to the 8th grade sect? Is there a relationship between the system and heavenly Tao? What is the weird tide once a year? Does it have anything to do with the weird riots prompted by the system before? There were more and more questions in his mind. Li Fan looked at the tools in front of him and he was not polite, so he asked if he didn't understand. Li Fan pretended to be hesitant and asked, the weird tide you just said is true. Didn't the weird leading attack just happen a few days ago? Are these two different? Mu Quan looked at Li Fan's expression as if he was holding the winning ticket. As long as he worked hard to make him understand the horror he would face, the whereabouts of the fairy gate ruins could be obtained. After thinking for a moment, Mu Quan explained, the weird riot is just a small subconscious reaction of the weirs, or a sleepwalking in a deep sleep. And when the real weird tide comes, the weirdness in every corner of the world will wake up, and then walk together from all places to destroy all the creatures in this world. The sole purpose of their existence is to destroy everything. In a long time ago, I heard that there was a wonderful Tianzhao who created a nominal second-rank sect with one hand, and his own strength has also obtained the horrible peak of the realm. There are countless masters under the sect, and among the hundreds of thousands of disciples, the worst is the peak of the martial realm. Now that they sect, any disciple has the opportunity to become a domain master. But he is too proud and too stupid, and I don't know why he is unwilling to ask heavenly Tao for refuge, and insists on having his own power to fight against weirdness. He fought against the weird tides for a whole decade and killed countless weirds, but in the end the entire sect disappeared in the endless star realm. Do you understand now? 13%. Chapter 34. This is not normal, it's not very scientific. Li Fan felt a huge wave in his heart. If what Mu Quan said is true, then the weirdness of this world is too terrifying. A supreme whose own cultivation base has reached the peak of the realm. Leading countless Tao realm powerhouses can't resist the endless weirdness, so what is the use of this system to summon 7 billion humans? This is too desperate, and according to why the Supreme who achieved such an achievement died, he refused to ask heavenly Tao for asylum. Is it really just because of pride and want to prove yourself? Impossible. There is no fool in the world who can cultivate to such a realm. People who always treat others as fools are really fools. 13. Li Fan, who couldn't think about the result, still had questions and wanted to ask Mu Quan. He pretended to be very worried, and asked many questions at once as if he was about to be persuaded by Mu Quan. How many regions in this world? How many domain masters? Who canonized and appointed the domain master? And how to obtain the domain master warrant? It was only this time that old god Mu Quan was lying on the Moyu chair and took a nap with his eyes closed. Just pretended not to hear what Li Fan said. Okay, it seems that I regarded this Mu Quan as stupid 13, but I became stupid 13. As expected, I am an old man. Li Fan felt a painful feeling in his heart. I thought to myself that there is no way to continue to talk from Mu Quan's tool population. Regardless, just try to see how true or false what the ghost sect leader said. Also see if this system really has any connection with Heavenly Tao. Li Fan opens the property panel of the system and sees the text on the panel. A Properties Panella. Li Fan, sect leader of Qian Yuanzong. Realm. Nourish the dirty. Cultivation technique. Purple Qi Keishan Jing, 7 grades. Martial skill. 1 blade cut, 1,000 illusion demon palms. Spells. None. Supernatural powers. Master the 5 thunders. Sect level. 9 ranks. You can be promoted to rank if you have met the requirements. Follow the requirements stated on the system panel. Sect leader realm reached the visceral state. The number of sect disciples has reached more than 100. There are 100 disciples of sect. Realm has reached the marrow washing realm. Clear the fog of sect's 3,000 meter range. He has already met the requirements, and all the 110 disciples of ascension have reached the blood-changing realm, which can be said to have greatly exceeded the requirements of the system. Everything is ready now. After thinking about it, Li Fan thought of turning and clicking to upgrade. The entire 3 kilometers of Qianyuanzong was enveloped by endless golden light falling from the sky. The sect array surrounding Qianyuanzong within 1 kilometer is also bathed in golden light, expanding layer by layer. Mu Quan, who was sitting in front of Qian Yuanzong's great formation, was sleeping with his eyes closed. But he was awakened by the exclamation of the disciples of the surrounding ghosts. In astonishment, Mu Quan opened his eyes, and the large golden light falling from the sky dazzled his eyes. In surprise, he opened his mouth wide, and the rapidly expanding Taiyan Kimen formation pushed a kind of ghost sect disciple far away. Mu Quan, who was sitting in Moyu's chair, didn't pay attention, and was also thrown out by the large array that was pushed horizontally. Sitting on the ground, looked a little embarrassed. But Mu Quan didn't care, he was already shocked by the sight before him. This is the same as when I was protected by Heavenly Tao when I established the ghost sect. If this power is even stronger, it's impossible. Mu Quan had an incredible expression on his face, and he was frozen in place for a while. Li Fan watched the entire Qian Yuanzong bathed in golden light. Although the sect building is still the same, there is no change. But the feeling vaguely gave him was quite different. There is a faint connection between the whole sect and his mind, and he feels that this world is closer to Qian Yuanzong. This may be what Mu Quan said. Sect was approved by Heavenly Tao Asylum. Li Fan felt clear. During the tea time, the golden light diffused. The entire Qian Yuanzong returned to calm. And the prompt sound of the system also sounded. Congratulations to sect leader. Qian Yuanzong has been promoted to the 8th grade sect. Sect building upgrade function has been unlocked. Sect opens a new function, Lingtian. Sect gains a cultivation bonus. All the disciples in Qianyuanzong can increase their cultivation speed by 20% when they are cultivation. Announcement of the whole system. The first 8 product sect in the whole system was born, and the system functions will be unlocked further. New functions of the system-wide announcement system. The Dengshan Tower is open. Looking at the system prompt in front of him, Li Fan hadn't had time to say anything. A group of disciples next to each other exclaimed. I feel there seems to be more spiritual qi in sect. Yes, I also feel that the cultivation technique in my body is running faster, and my practice speed has a great ascension. Did the golden light just now ascension my qualifications? The disciples gathered around Li Fan and cheered, very happy. The road to practice is very difficult. For these people, their qualifications and resources determine the upper limit of their cultivation base realm. Those who don't have enough cultivation base to absorb spiritual qi will slow down their practice. Unless there is an endless supply of resources, no one will spend so many resources to cultivate a low-qualified cultivator. The same resources can train more outstanding disciples. Why should you train you more than the gains? As for disciples with low aptitude, they will be slowly eliminated by sect, and can only be used as cannon fodder for sect, slowly dying in the countless battles between sect and the weird. I didn't expect the ascension of the sect grade to have such a magical effect. Li Fan exclaimed in his heart. No more careful exploration of the other newly unlocked functions of the system, and a large number of new tips. Now that the system can upgrade the sect grade to ascension, he has no worries. Let's solve the flies outside sect first. Li Fan walked to the edge of the big formation, looking meaningfully at Mu Quan, who was pushed out by the sect big formation 2 kilometers away. Now that the tool man has completed his mission, he can be sent on the road. Mu Quan's eyes widened with shortness of breath. He still couldn't understand why Qian Yuanzong in front of him suddenly received Heavenly Dao Asylum and was promoted to the 8th rank sect. This is impossible. This is not normal. How did you do it? It's impossible. His face was distorted, and he looked at Li Fan tremblingly. Li Fan stood in the sect formation and ignored him. Just one-handed, his lips kept moving. Only when the FA judgment was completed, did he speak lightly. What's the matter? It's normal and scientific to level up with full experience. After speaking with a single finger, a cyan thunder hovering and flashing above the sky fell. Looking at the vast thunder light above the sky, Mu Quan was enveloped by a strong sense of crisis. Hit by this thunder will kill you. His hair on his body stood up, his figure flickered crazily, but he was always locked in by the blue light. Can't get out. In fact, when Li Fan reaches the viscera nourishment realm, the energy of the 5 internal organs is greatly enhanced. As the name suggests, Yang Zhang Jing is to cultivate the energy of the 5 internal organs, and the power of the 5 internal organs makes him more instructive of the 5 thunder supernatural powers. It will no longer be the same as it was when changing the blood realm. Like Xiaoru's big sword, when the lethality is enough, it will be impossible to control the hilt of the knife in his hand. Under his current 5 thunder supernatural powers, no one can escape, unless the strength gap is huge. After all, the power of supernatural powers is far from comparable to that of martial skill. Mu Quan watched the vast cyan thunder light getting closer and closer to him, already in front of him. He frantically stirred the spirit power in his body, condensing a magic shield surrounded by a large number of ghosts. At the same time, the vast cyan thunder light swept across the earth, covering all the disciples of the ghost sect. 13%. Chapter 35. Changes in the 8th-rank sect. After being promoted to the viscera-raising realm, the power of the Oriental Liver Palace Muley, whose magical powers had mastered the 5 thunders, ascensioned a lot. And the area covered has also expanded a lot. Let Li Fan face the huge battlefield, with a little more control. Li Fan would naturally not be merciful to the ghosts of the ghost sect who used several conspiracies and tricks to injure him. The vast Eastern Liver Palace thunder slammed, turning the people of the Gimin sect and the area they were in into a focal area. All the disciples of the ghost school were reduced to ashes. The strong cyan thunder light gradually dissipated. The vast areas of mist were all turned into scorched earth, and only the faint light of thunder gleamed above the broken trees. Li Fan opened Sect Dazong and walked to Mu Quan. The sect leader of the ghost school really has a few brushes. The devourers of realm, the pinnacle of nourishing filth, were all turned to ashes in the thunder. But this Mu Quan could still leave a breath. The strength is extraordinary. But Mu Quan was about to die at this time. The graceful and luxurious black gold robes were shattered into carbon chips, which were glued together with the skin and flesh melted by the high temperature. You, cough cough, are so strong. Mu Quan knelt on the ground and his eyes were loose. He vomited blood all over his body in black. Li Fan walked up to him and said lazily, and the blazing knife flashed past. Mu Quan's head fell to the ground. The ghost sect leader, who caused him trouble several times, died. Originally wanted to see if there were any good things in Mu Quan's body, but Li Fan found that everything in Mu Quan's body was turned into ashes. Seeing that he couldn't find anything useful, Li Fan lost his interest and turned back to Sect. He also had to carefully study the special features of the 8th grade sect. Informing his disciples of the specific location of the ghost sect, Li Fan sent 60 disciples from the exchange blood realm to the ghost sect. Bring back all the valuable things in it. Then return to the own house. Open the system interface. A lot of information came to mind. Jingle bells kept ringing in private chat messages, and the constantly scrolling messages in the world chat interface, Li Fan directly skipped without looking at them in detail. Instead, I read a few more important system information first. The new function of the system, climbing tower, has been unlocked. Sect leaders can enter and climb the tower. Every time you pass a level, you will get rewards from the system. You are the first sect leader in the system to establish the 8th rank sect, and the system rewards have been sent to your backpack. Pay attention to check. Ascending to the sky tower looks like a place to test your personal strength. Don't worry about it, let's see what rewards the system gives. Li Fan opened the backpack and saw a pile of seeds lying quietly in the backpack. Take out all kinds of seeds. Refining the Ning Yuan grass and Qian branch seeds of Qiangshan pill. Refining the Super Kilian and Hunyuan vine seeds of Monster Core. Refining the seeds of Lightning Sky Bamboo and Hibiscus Bud from Monster Core in Transmutation Realm. The most important thing for Li Fan right now is the 2 elixir seeds used to refine the Dirty Realm Monster Core. Xuan Shuang Sao and Hawei Ginseng seeds. With these 2 elixir seeds, he only needs to find the most crucial elixir Bayan secret flower. There are all the materials needed to refine Monster Core. When the time comes, once you get the Monster Core of Nourishing Dirt, you will be able to quickly ascension Li Fan's strength. Li Fan nodded in satisfaction. Continue to check the changes in the Sect interface. Sect grade. 8 products. Sect building function. Upgradable various buildings in Sect, including functional buildings. Sect room, Great Hall, Pill refining room, Forging room, Library, Sect warehouse, Lingtian. Spiritual field. A field containing spiritual qi, where various spiritual herbs can be planted. Ascension spirit field level and fertilizing the spirit field can speed up the growth rate of the elixir life. Upgrade 7 Sect requirements. Sect leader cultivation base reaches the level of penetration. The number of disciples has reached 1,000, and more than half of Sect disciples have reached the cultivation base. Clear the fog around Sect within 20 kilometers. 500 strands of heavenly Tao merit. Scanning each Sect message carefully, Li Fan has a general understanding. 8-rank Sect can break through various basic buildings in Sect, such as the room where the disciples lived in the dilapidated Great Hall of the Sect. The pill refining room, forging room, etc. can be rebuilt and upgraded later. This made Li Fan quite satisfied. He had already had enough of Sect's run-down look. It stands to reason that he is relatively wealthy now compared to other blue star humans. For spirit stones to have spirit stones, for strength and strength, disciples have gone to realm one by one. But I still live in a dilapidated small yard, and the quality of life is very average. Besides, even if he doesn't care much about material things, Sect is embarrassing even a little Sect. If at that time the disciples of the Gimin Sect saw a magnificent Qianyuan Sect full of the atmosphere of the immortal family, then they might not rush forward and attack Qian Yuanzong. In any case, you have to pay courtesy first, and then make a courteous visit. You can inquire about the truth and see if there is any background behind it, and consider it carefully before proceeding. Although the result is the same, own Sect was clearly despised before. People take a look. Yo, this Sect looks tattered and probably has no strength, FK him. How annoying. The Sect building must be ascending, and after the Sect functional building is upgraded, there will be other magical functions. There are also bonuses to pill refining. Firming his mind, Li Fan walked out of the room and came to a newly cultivated spiritual field in Sect. He wanted to plant the spiritual medicine seeds he had obtained. The newly emerged Lingtian covers an area of more than 1,300 square meters, equivalent to the size of 3 basketball courts. The location is at the very edge of Sect. The soil in the Lingtian is fertile, and a touch of spiritual qi can be felt in the soil. Li Fan smiled at the corner of his mouth. With the spirit field, his elixir seeds will grow faster. A piece of spiritual field has a huge effect on ascension of Sect's overall strength. The planted elixir can be used to exchange for spirit stones or to refine Ascension's medicine pill, which is very practical. An elixir used to refine the monster core of the transmutation realm, it only takes 1 month from seed to maturity to be planted in the spiritual field. Moreover, using demonic beasts' flesh and blood to fertilize the spiritual field can also ascension the growth rate of the elixir. With such a large area of spiritual field, thousands of elixir can be planted without saying one time. It's another big fortune, and it can flow slowly. Thinking of this, Li Fan's heart is hot. Li Fan ran the spirit power, wrapped the elixir seeds in the backpack, and scattered them in the entire spiritual field. Before long, he will be able to harvest a lot of mature elixir. After working on Lingtian, Li Fan plans to upgrade all Sect buildings. Take a look at the materials needed to upgrade each building. Li Fan clicked to open the trading interface. A stone 1000 A. A red sandalwood 500 A. A wangwali 500 A. A iron ore, copper ore 1000 A. A Jopinling mine amethyst 100 A. A suet fatling U 300 A. Li Fan chose a lot of materials arbitrarily. He didn't use the 2,000 spirit stones in his backpack. He used these spirit stones for other purposes. I sold over 100 pieces of spirit ore collected when I went to Anlong Valley last time, and obtained more than 100 spirit stones. Li Fan took these spirit stones and bought all the materials. Li Fan stood in the Great Hall of the Sect, with a thought, click to upgrade. There was a bang. The various buildings of Sect have undergone tremendous changes. 14%. Chapter 36 The Second Fragment. Within the Ghost Door Sect. Heng Qing led the 60 Qianyuan Sect disciples, busy in the empty Ghost Sect. Hey, this Ghost Sect is also an 8th rank sect at any rate, why is it so poor? Yes, there are more than 300 spirit stones, and only more than 300 spiritual herbs, which is far behind our sect. Several disciples grumbled a little while disgustingly, while packing the searched things into their backpacks. An hour later, the entire Ghost Sect was in a mess. Cultivation technique, martial skill, spirit stones, and magical item were all taken away by the disciples of Qian Yuanzong. The faint breath of Heavenly Tao surrounding Sect also disappeared, and Heavenly Tao's shelter has been lost here. From this moment on, this prestigious Ghost Sect, which had been around hundreds of miles away, officially became history and ceased to exist. 1,000 meters away from the Gimin Sect, a handsome young man looked at the Qian Yuanzong disciple who came out of the Gimin Sect with a large bag hanging on his body from a distance. Then he turned around and disappeared into the mist. In Qian Yuanzong, Li Fan looked at Sect in front of him with a new look, feeling very happy. Before the gate of Qian Yuanzong's mountain was a tattered wooden board with the 3 characters Qian Yuanzong written on it. Now the broken wooden planks disappeared, replaced by a tall arch made of Ling Mine amethyst as the main material. In the middle of the arch is inlaid with a plaque made entirely of suet jade. The 3 characters of dragon and snake are used in the writing pen, Qian Yuanzong. Well, yes, just looking at the gate of the mountain, you can get up all at once. Li Fan smiled. Walking tightly to the inside of Sect, enveloping the broad spiritual field of spiritual qi. A martial arts field made entirely of steel to practice and experiment with the power of martial skill. Behind the martial arts field are neatly arranged rooms, which are several times more spacious than the previous cramped wooden huts, and one room is about 100 square meters. Li Fan walked to the center of Sect, Great Hall of the Sect. The original small courtyard became a towering 2-story Great Hall. Then Li Fan carefully looked at the newly upgraded pill refining room and forging room, and found that not only the appearance of these 2 places had changed. The main pill refining furnace and the forging furnace have also been completely renewed. Let the 2 disciples start the furnace for a trial, and found that the working efficiency of the upgraded pill refining furnace was twice as efficient. In addition, the flame control is more precise. The pill refining rate and the quality of medicine pill will have a lot of ascension. This made Li Fan anxious to prepare the medicine pill materials for Zhengji now, so that they can quickly start pill refining. At this moment, Heng Qing and others returned from the Gemenzong Sect leader. This is all the resources brought back from the Ghost Sect. Please check it out. Heng Qing handed a list to Li Fan. Li Fan took the list in his hand and checked it. Ding, it has been detected that Sect leader has obtained resources, and it has been increased by 100-fold. Spirit stones 32,600. 18,009 stage elixir. 10,008 class elixir. 4,607 class elixir. Spirit mine. Li Fan had discovered it a few days ago, even if it was not taken by himself, but as long as it is the resources obtained by Sect and stored in the Sect warehouse. He will still get the blessing of the 100 times amplification system, and then directly store it in his system backpack. With more than 30,000 spirit stones added to the account, Li Fan couldn't help but sigh. Fighting is the most profitable. The pile of ordinary resources below the list can no longer cause him to fluctuate. Only one item that seemed familiar to him caught his attention. Ding. Congratulations to Sect leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining 7 products medicine pill lunar gathering monster core pill recipe. Monster core of lunar gathering. It can attract demonic beasts and weirdness. The more monster core is used, the more weirdness and demonic beasts will be attracted. This should be the medicine pill used by Wang Qian and Yuki. Li Fan understood. This monster core is a good thing for him. Of course, he doesn't want to refine this thing to guide the weirdness to the door of Sect of other people's houses. That way of using it is too stupid. His 5 thunder supernatural powers have great restraint and lethal effects on the weird, but limited to realm once used. It takes 3 days to rest before it can be used again. This will affect his development speed somewhat. After all, whether it is upgrading Sect or going to the Star Palace in exchange for the cultivation technique of spirit power and the genius of body tempering, both require a lot of merit. If you let Li Fan take his disciples to try his luck in the mist, let's not say if you can encounter weirdness. If you can't, it will waste time. If you encounter it, if it is a very powerful weirdness, it may be easy to overturn. Therefore, using this thing before his own sect formation is as much weird as possible, which is his ideal usage. This time when he was promoted to the 8th rank sect, Qian Yuanzong's Taiyan Kimen Grand formation was also strengthened by bathing in the heavenly Tao golden light. Although there is no ascension to the 5th rank, it should be able to withstand the ordinary weirdness or cultivator that first enters the realm. This is also the confidence he dares to do, but he can still run. Then another item on the list also caught Li Fan's attention. A broken triangular slab with a faint aura. This is it. Li Fan came to the sect warehouse. He picked up a triangular broken stone slab that was just put in the warehouse. Special items incomplete cannot be identified. Li Fan just picked up the slate and was prompted by the system. That's right, it's the same material as the slate I'm holding, and it can be connected to the fracture. Li Fan took out the other slate in the backpack and compared it carefully. The two stone slabs are spliced together, and they fit together. An incomplete round slate was formed, but the slate was still the last piece of incomplete, without showing any miracles. Li Fan saw a piece of tortuous lines from the two slabs joined together. It seems to be a road map, but because it is still incomplete, it is impossible to identify the specific location. Li Fan simply put it into the backpack together, waiting for a chance to find the last stone slab to restore it before making plans. Immediately afterwards, Li Fan explained the matter about the hematite mine in Tianyinyan in Anlongu near the Gemenzong. After all, it was because of these two 6th rank mines that he was targeted by the Ghost Sect. Now that the Ghost Sect has been destroyed by him, of course he can safely receive this huge wealth. A part of the disciples were arranged to go to Anlong Valley for mining every day, and to rotate once a month. According to Li Fan's estimation, it will take more than half a year to completely empty the two mines. But he was not in a hurry, and the spirit stones on hand were enough for the time being. After handling the follow-up matters of the Ghost Sect, Li Fan returned to the house. Begin to study the new function mentioned by the system, the matter of climbing to the sky. It can be said that the most precious thing for these human beings who have traveled into this world is this mysterious system in their minds. If there is no systematic sect system, and the mysterious starry great hall that can be exchanged for treasures with merit, they must not survive the weird tide that Mu Quan said once a year. Therefore, every function of the system deserves Li Fan's attention. Thinking of this, Li Fan opened the system interface. 14%. Chapter 37 The Desperate Ascending Tower. FK, this system's newly unlocked Ascendant Tower is too abnormal. I'm a 3rd level blood-changing realm and can't even get through the 3rd level. Hey, you still dare to speak when you change blood on the 3rd floor. Daddy has changed blood on the 7th floor. In the end, he was hung up and beaten by the 3rd floor of the 9th floor. Don't mention it, I can't beat this guard on the 9th floor of the blood exchange. I found that these guards have stronger strength than the realm. Hey, the gatekeepers in there are really killers. Although I know that even death will be fine in it, but it hurts too much. Don't say that the feeling of death is really horrible, so is death like this. I'm afraid I won't be 100% sure that I won't come to the tower again in the future. After Li Fan turned on the system, he found that everyone had basically tried the function of this tower. So I didn't rush directly to the tower, but first looked at what other people said in the chat interface and whether they had any experience. He was more cautious in the first place, and it was in line with his character to plan and move later. After some understanding, Li Fan probably knew the general situation and rules of the tower. The climbing pagoda was entered by the practitioner's spiritual mind, so even if he failed to break through the tower and died, he would not cause any harm to himself. This is also the reason why these people dared to go to the tower tirelessly. But even if it's just a thought of guiding the practitioner into the tower, the feeling is very real. You can illusion your commonly used and handy weapons in it, and you can also display the martial skill magical powers. It can be said that your physical strength outside will be broadened by completion. But this also has a drawback, that is, it is too real and it hurts to be injured, and the suffocation of being killed is also very uncomfortable. Li Fan smiled after understanding the situation. He is still very confident in own strength, the weird devourer of all things at the peak of nourishment, and Mu Quan, the late stage of nourishment, are all powerful opponents. But still lost in the hands of his cultivator, a cultivator. What's more, watching these people on the chat channel say that every time they successfully pass a level of the tower, they will get rich rewards, even the rare body tempering treasures. And this reward can be taken out. Many people have confirmed it, and this has aroused Li Fan's interest even more. After all, his body tempering of the transplant realm is still 4 times short of being considered complete. Apart from anything else, Li Fan directly clicked to enter the Dengshan Tower and began to rush into the tower. It was dark in front of him. Li Fan felt that his soul seemed to be out of his body, and he felt drunk. This feeling didn't last long. Li Fan's eyes suddenly lit up and appeared in front of an 18-story tower. Hey, you stepped on my foot a little farther. A middle-aged man with a stubborn face mumbled as he watched Li Fan, who appeared suddenly. Huh, I'm sorry. Li Fan snorted suspiciously, glanced at the middle-aged man beside him, and quickly moved his feet away. He thought that the Ascension Tower was only an independent space in everyone's mind. He didn't expect it to be like this. There were countless people around the tower. For a while, the hustle and bustle rushed into Li Fan's ears. He couldn't bear this kind of extremely noisy place, and as soon as he thought, he entered the middle level of the tower and began to rush into the tower. The middle-aged man who was stepped on by Li Fan just now looked familiar to Li Fan, who had suddenly disappeared. But he didn't care. Maybe it was dazzled. This kid is so thin, but he dares to go straight to the tower by observing the situation. It is estimated that it will be typed out soon. The stubborn man shook his head and muttered to himself. After a while, the man screamed, that person was Li Fan just now. The most famous god-tier Li Fan. The onlookers next to him were taken aback, but immediately followed by exclaiming. That's the Li Fan who was the first to kill the weird, the first to be promoted to the 8-rank sect and unlock the new feature of the system, the Li Fan. One stone caused 1,000 waves of waves, and everyone was too curious about Li Fan, who kept stimulating the system's full-screen announcements. However, I always only hear the sound and not see the person. I didn't expect to see it in this place this time. A group of people surrounded the Uncle Huza who had been stepped on by Li Fan just now. One by one, just like the curious baby, they asked him about Li Fan. Uncle, do you think this Li Fan is really as powerful as the legend? Uncle, do you think he has something special? He can actually make cultivation-based ascension so fast. There are too many people around Uncle Huja, and his poor feet are almost flattened by the constant crit of a group of people. But he didn't care about his excitement at this moment, it feels. I think it should be quite powerful. As for the special, extremely handsome, it's not because of the special temperament. Uncle Huza didn't think of anything special for a while. But he couldn't say that he didn't see it clearly, so he said something casually. After all, surrounded by a group of people with envious eyes, it feels pretty good. He blushed embarrassedly after speaking. The people around him heard him praise Li Fan for being handsome, and blushed after he said that, and for a while they moved away from him. You blush a bubble teapot. They have no interest in how handsome Li Fan is. Compared to this, they want to know what Li Fan's strength is. A crowd of onlookers said, Li Fan can ascension to the dirty cultivation realm so quickly, he must be lucky to get a lot of resources. The person next to him echoed, it is estimated that he did not choose to strengthen spirit power and physique, but directly exchange medicine pill with merit. In this case, it is difficult for him to get to the top and he will be beaten out soon. When you say that you can't eat grapes, just say grape sour. Haven't you strengthened your spirit power and physique? Are you in the viscera state? You can say that others can't do it without looking at yourself. There is also support Li Fan next to him, and I feel that as a person who is often announced by the system, he must have this extraordinary strength. People who were ridiculed for saying that they could not eat grapes became angry when they heard this. Immediately turned back and cursed the other party for licking the dog, stubborn Fan. Not to be outdone, the two people quarreled, and they were ready to do something. But immediately they were attracted by a topic in the crowd. You said Li Fan can get to the top level. The two melon-eating people seemed to have seen the flies from the leftovers, and immediately quarreled over this issue, although the issue had nothing to do with them. You don't have to think about it. Realm ascension is so fast. It must have little background, and the strength must not be as good as the gatekeepers of the same level. Even a realm gatekeeper one level below him may not be able to beat him. That is, it is estimated that we will stop at the 3rd level just like us, said a 9th level transgender person. Impossible. You think Li Fan is as incompetent as you guys, he will definitely be able to get through the 3rd floor. Yes, I think he can make it through the 4th floor. Dona T brag about the 13th floor and the 4th floor. Have you ever entered the tower? The gatekeeper on each floor is the pinnacle of a realm. The 4th layer corresponds to the dirt raising realm. Then the gatekeeper cultivation base will be at the pinnacle of the dirt raising. Don't say whether Li Fan can pass the 3rd level. Even if he has passed a 1st level battle against the 9th level peak of the dirty cultivator, he is still the kind of gatekeeper who is a bit stronger than the realm cultivator. It's good that Li Fan doesn't get shit. A group of filial piety online are still bragging here. After a few minutes, the people who eat melons with different views on the two sides will fight again. And Li Fan was in the ascending tower, quietly looking at the opponent in front of him. The peak of body refining of the gatekeeper on the 1st floor. 14%. Chapter 38. Practicing sword techniques. Li Fan looked curiously at the illusory figure in front of him with a fuzzy face. Then he looked at himself again, and when he moved his hand, a knife that was exactly the same as the blazing knife appeared in his heart. Good fellow, it's pretty amazing. He squeezed the burning knife in his hand. It had the same weight as in reality, and it felt the same. Li Fan lifted the knife and walked towards the gatekeeper of the illusory figure. Not relying on cultivation base to crush. Instead, Li Fan slowly started the trick with the gatekeeper. Everyone is saying that the gatekeeper is stronger than the same realm cultivator, so it's just a test. Converging most of his power, he also suppressed the spirit power to realm, the pinnacle of body refining. Li Fan picked up the 8-style saber technique and slammed it over. Seeing Li Fan attack with a knife, the illusory figure turned into a long knife in his hand. But it's not a broad-backed sword like Li Fan, but a tang sword. The slender blade firmly held Li Fan's big knife. Afterwards, the illusory figure shook his wrist slightly, and slammed the heavy broad-backed knife aside. Li Fan was shocked when his attack was blocked. It was not that he was surprised that the attack would be blocked, but that he was surprised by the illusory figure's deep knife skills. Just now, his sword used all the strength of the 9th level of body refining, and the sword power was extremely fast. However, the tang sword in the hand of the illusory figure happened to be placed on the most difficult part of his blade, causing most of the blade's power to be used. It is extremely uncomfortable to be unable to hold up. Although Li Fan has not deliberately studied saber technique, he blessed the sword of cultivation base very fast. The weakness of his sword can be found among the lightning and flint, and it can be easily resolved, as can be seen in the saber technique of the illusory figure. Li Fan was also not discouraged, and continued to raise his knife and violently attacked. In the first 2 moves, Li Fan was about to be cut off by the gatekeeper's long knife, but at the critical moment, Li Fan made an exception with a profound spirit power to block it. After all, he was trying to hone the saber technique, and he couldn't do it if he died too soon. For a while, the 2 of you came and I kept on the offensive. And the many melon eaters guarding outside the tower are waiting eagerly for Li Fan to come out. There is a ranking on the climbing tower, which records the top 100 climbing records. The more layers someone breaks, the higher the ranking. But now most of them are stuck in the 2nd level of marrow washing realm. There is also a part of cultivation base that is more advanced and stuck on the 3rd floor and can't get through. As a result, many people are ranked in the same level and cannot be distinguished between high and low. The system is also very smart. Seeing this situation, the clearance time was immediately added to each person's clearance record. With the same number of layers, the faster the clearance, the higher the ranking. They tried hard to find Li Fan's name on the leaderboard, but they couldn't find it. Impossible. Half an hour has passed. Why can't I find Li Fan's name on the leaderboard? Yeah, a battle is over in a few minutes. It's usually very fast. Why haven't he passed the 2nd level for so long? If he passes the 2nd level, he should be able to appear on the leaderboard. Whether it is people who think that Li Fan can set a record, or people who think that Li Fan's strength can't pass the 3rd level, they are very puzzled. It's not that the rankings are broken. At this time, a person whispered, "Do you think he has never played the 2nd-tier gatekeeper, or played very hard and has not yet determined the winner, so he did not appear on the leaderboard?" Others looked at the questioning person, and looked at him with foolish eyes. Your brain is bad. How could the Zhangjung realm not be able to beat the marrow cleansing realm? How can there be such a wasteful person? After speaking, he continued to look at the ranking of the tower body. The man was said to be flushed, lowered his head and walked away. It's shameful, go quickly. Climbing into the sky tower. Half an hour passed, and Li Fan was about to run out of energy. However, he is also a stubborn temper, saying that if you don't need cultivation base to crush, you don't need cultivation base to crush. Just use the sword technique to attack the gatekeeper, and the result can be imagined. Li Fan's offensive was pushed aside. The guard seized the opportunity and cut Li Fan's head to the ground with a single knife. The head fell, and Li Fan appeared outside the tower in black. Who TM stepped on my foot again, right? Li Fan returned to his senses and looked in front of him. It was the uncle scumbag again. He scratched his head awkwardly and quickly moved his feet away. Uncle Huza was angry and looked at the person who stepped on his foot. Li Fan, it's Li Fan. A group of people around looked back happily. I really rely on Li Fan. He came out and quickly see where he is in the ranking. No, I didn't find it. You look for it, how can you not find it? I didn't find it either. For a while, a large number of people became even more puzzled. Someone among them looked at Li Fan, who was sitting on the ground in lotus position, and asked curiously. Man, how many levels have you reached just now? I think there is no name for you on this list. When Li Fan heard someone talking to him, he opened his eyes in doubt and hesitated and said, the strength of this gatekeeper is too strong. I haven't made it through the first floor. When other people heard this, they were startled. They found that not only are they strong, they will be shocked, but they will also be shocked when they are weak to a certain extent. Is there really such a waste person? The Zhangzhang realm can't beat the body refining realm, and cultivation has gone to the dog's stomach. A group of people wondered. Someone beside him felt wrong, and wanted to ask Li Fan carefully what's going on. However, Li Fan couldn't bear the large amount of noise around him, so he moved directly and returned to the real world. Watching Li Fan disappear into the square, the group of people who were not optimistic about Li Fan's strength before laughed. This is the so-called first person in Li Fan's system to establish the 8-rank sect. Really, it was the first one to kill the weird person. This is a weird thing. I don't know what the weirdness had to be in order to be killed by him. I think it's because it was that weird that was hit by a master and ran away, and then happened to be missed by him. As soon as he said this, people around him nodded. This possibility is really not small. The scene became active for a while, and everyone laughed jokingly and talked about what had just happened. And the group of people who supported Li Fan before, all of them went offline and returned to their sect without speaking. Before leaving, everyone sighed with disappointment. Some even spit out angrily before leaving, shouting waste. Fortunately, Li Fan didn't see this scene, but even if he saw him, he wouldn't care too much. He doesn't need to explain to these unrelated people, what can a group of watchers have to say? There were too many of these people, and they screamed happily behind each other, but they didn't dare to speak when they really met. Of course, if Li Fan really meets that kind of tough guy in person, he will send them to heaven one by one. Li Fan is sitting cross-legged in his own spacious room. Carefully recalled the scene of the fight with the gatekeeper just now, trying to comprehend some saber technique to make his strength further. Suddenly, his magical powers are huge, but he can't all point to this big move. Usually encounter some ordinary strength, or his realm strength is similar to rely on general attack to win. What should he do when a stronger enemy suddenly comes out after not letting the big move? Li Fan considered it well, set a goal for himself, and spent 1 hour a day in climbing the tower. Ascension the own knife technique as soon as possible within a month. You can't take up too much time in this regard. Although the technique is important, the Tao is the fundamental. He has to seize the time to get realms faster ascension. Mu Quan said that the weird tide after a terrifying year, I don't know what it will be. Li Fan murmured. 15%. Chapter 39 The Strange Guangyang Peak. 1 week passed. Li Fan once again died from the ascending tower. Back in the room, he sat on the ground and experienced the exquisite sword technique of the gatekeeper on the second floor of the climbing tower just now. This was the 7th time he had climbed the tower, and he was so embarrassed compared to the first time he died. Now he can already behead the gatekeepers on the first floor with knife skills alone. But when he encountered the gatekeeper on the second level, he still couldn't beat it with the sword technique alone. Moreover, Li Fan discovered that the swordsmanship of the gatekeepers on the second floor has a wonderful change compared to the first floor. Swordsmanship is a 6-character decision: spreading, wiping, hooking, chopping, and chopping. Relatively speaking, the gatekeepers on the first level are mainly to split the characters and display them with perfection. After several days of fighting and training, Li Fan has mastered the split word Ju perfectly. But what the gatekeepers of the second layer showed was a hook and eye decision. Li Fan was dazzled by his exquisite knife handling technique. Seeing the oncoming sharp blade, Li Fan couldn't stop it. The gatekeeper just moved the original straight blade with his wrist and changed its angle. Insidious and weird, it is impossible to guard against. After digesting the combat experience this time, Li Fan took out the rewards obtained from clearing the first level. A copy of Shuiyanqi Blood. Li Fan feels that the rewards given to different cultivators are different, but the value is probably the same. Some people have obtained the cultivation technique of the seventh product, some have obtained the martial skill of the high grade, and some have been medicine pill. For Li Fan, he has no shortage of cultivation technique, and martial skill does not have any needs for the time being. So I got a treasure of body tempering. After skillfully absorbing Shuiyan's blood, Li Fan felt his own body became 30% stronger. According to his estimation, if he reaches the perfection of the body tempering 9 times in the transmutation realm, he can kill the cultivator at the 5th level of the Zhang nursing realm with his physical body alone. This became more determined, and he wanted to practice each realm to the most complete thought. Instead of making a pile of medicine pill, there is no realm, but there is no hope to return a waste that no one can beat. Of course he will choose to be the strongest kind of person, this is his belief. After digesting the rewards, Li Fan took out the fog map. It's still 3 times to complete body tempering, and it's not a few days before the weird riots of next month. We must hurry up and re-ascension before weird riots. After querying the complete map, Li Fan found the place where the last elixir of the monster core, which is poor in refining and raising the dirty realm, the white flame secret flower grows. It is Guangyang Peak 20 kilometers away from Qianyuanzong. The producing area of this white flame secret flower is extremely rare, within 1,000 miles of the map. Only Guangyang Peak is the closest to Qianyuanzong. Other places are mostly close to the edge of the map, close to 400 to 500 miles away from Qianyuanzong, and the journey back and forth is too time-consuming. And I'm not sure if I will encounter any unknown risks along the way through such a long distance. Do whatever it takes to determine the destination. Li Fan summoned the disciples of the whole clan to explain the situation, and left 40 disciples to guard Sect. 70 other disciples followed him to Guangyang Peak. Originally, Li Fan didn't want to take too many people to Guangyang Peak this time, but after thinking about it, he still had to bring disciples to experience more. Even he needs constant fighting and training in order to grow. The cultivator piled up with medicine pill can only be flowers in the greenhouse, which will wither in the wind and rain. Through the dense fog. 2 hours later, Li Fan and his group finally came to the bottom of Guangyang Peak. The terrain of Guangyang Peak is steep, with towering mountains rising into the clouds, but there is only a narrow path between the mountains. The terrain is vulnerable. Looking at the particularly dense fog in Guangyang Peak, Li Fan felt a little bad in his heart. The fog in this place is extremely dense, coupled with the steep and narrow terrain, everyone must be careful. Li Fan said worriedly, looking at the disciples beside him. The dense fog must be accompanied by a lot of weirdness, and the rugged terrain makes it difficult to evacuate quickly when encountering danger. Li Fan was a little hesitant in his heart, whether to bring his disciples in. But if you don't go here, if you want to get the white flame secret flower, you will have to travel more than 400 miles through the mist, and the risk of this is not necessarily smaller than this mountain. After making up his mind, Li Fan led the disciples behind him into the Guangyang Peak. Crack! A sound of broken branches came. Demonic beasts, a black panther wrapped in hazy water mist, rushed out. Opening the mouth of the blood basin, he went straight to the throat of a disciple on the edge of Qianyuanzong. The 2 people around the assaulted disciple had already reacted quickly. The 2 flying cloud swords turned into 2 sword ray, boom. The head of the panther demonic beasts falls to the ground. The 2 quickly took out the monster core and put it away, and then proceeded smoothly. Not long after stepping into the Guangyang Peak, a dozen demonic beasts have already attacked suddenly and recklessly. At first, because of the narrow mountain roads, the people of Qianyuanzong lined up in a long and narrow line. But after 1 or 2 sudden attacks by demonic beasts, Li Fan ordered every 3 people to form a team. Small groups of troops moved forward to prevent large groups of people from gathering together, making it inconvenient to react quickly when encountering an attack. Sect leader, the demonic beasts of Guangyang Peak is a little abnormal. a Qian Yuanzong disciple said while looking at the Black Panther demonic beasts who had just died. Li Fan glanced at him. What did you find? Although the demonic beasts in the mist have been eroded by the mist for a long time and their minds have been damaged and chaotic, they also have the basic instinct of beasts to know how to avoid bad luck. But just now these dozen demonic beasts clearly saw that our team is huge and strong, but they still launched an attack desperately. Even demonic beasts in the body refining realm is the same, which is even more wrong. The disciple said solemnly. Well, this situation should be affected by weirdness. Li Fan said lightly. The disciple nodded, but was also a little puzzled. However, although there are many demonic beasts and dense fog, I didn't see any weird one. I'm afraid they are busy doing something. They have no time to worry about us. These demonic beasts may be just to hold us down. Li Fan frowned. Thinking of this, Li Fan suddenly became more curious. Weird, besides being interested in attacking Sect and devouring humans, what other hobbies do you have? Interestingly, the current Li Fan can be regarded as a bold person. The disciples behind him ordered, follow up a little bit, and we will speed up, otherwise we won't be able to go back before dark. The top of Guangyang Peak. A large crowd of weird people gathered on the broad peak, commanding countless demonic beasts to launch a continuous wave of shocks on the people on the peak. A woman with a beautiful face and a long blue skirt. The 3-foot-long sword in his hand was astonishing and fascinating. Every time a sword is taken, it must be accompanied by a demonic beast's falling down. The 300 to 400 cultivators who exuded the aura of cold spirit power beside him were fighting with countless demonic beasts. The blood stained their clothes red, and did not flinch. 15%. Chapter 40 Cold Water Sect. A bloody woman holding a long sword blankly cut a demonic beast, a hawk that bullied her, into 2 pieces. Just about to adjust the disordered spirit power in the lower body, another snake-body demonic beast rushed forward and launched an attack. The woman's silver teeth clenched, and she sighed for Dantian Meridian's pain in the ninja's body and continued to respond. Sect leader, these demonic beasts are not afraid of death. These weirdness obviously want to use demonic beasts to drag us to death. This is not the way to continue. A woman with a symmetrical figure and a little fat baby said with a trembling voice facing the pretty figure in the water blue dress next to her. The pretty figure in the aqua blue dress killed a demonic beast while calmly saying, Yuner has already gone down the mountain to Wuyangzong for help. Just hold on for a while. Hearing these words, the female disciples who fought with the many demonic beasts around him not only didn't have any sense of relaxation, but they looked a little ugly. Sect leader, do you really want to agree to their request? Everyone said unwillingly. Fu Bingying's eyes were gloomy. Even if the Cold Water Sect is dissolved to join their Wuyang sect, I can't let everyone die here. Relax, although I won't be your sect leader from now on, as long as I live with the Wuyang sect people, I won't want to disadvantage you. After speaking, Fu Bingying also felt unwilling. She knew that the people of Wuyang sect were not well known and upright. Especially this Wuyang sect is one of the 3 alliances. The style of the 3 alliances is very domineering and ruthless. The many sects within 800 miles around Guangyang Peak, or are forced to become their subsidiary sects. Or simply sect leader was killed by the people of the 3 alliances. The entire sect resource disciples were accepted by their 3 alliances. Had it not been for the Cold Water Sect that I had built to be far away from the 3 alliances, and on the dangerous Guangyang Peak, I am afraid it would have ended in the same way. Unfortunately, this ending is unavoidable now. Since the last time the sect leader of Wuyang sect came to the door, she refused to let her bring the disciples of the Hanshui sect to worship them under Wuyang sect. People from Wuyang sect are often haunted in this Guangyang Peak, and then the fog in this peak becomes denser and more weird. Although the people of Wuyang sect have been extremely careful to hide, how can they hide from Fu Bingying, who has been operating on this mountain for many years? To say that the large number of weird people suddenly gathered in this mountain had nothing to do with the people of Wuyang sect, Fu Bingying was 100 unbelievers. However, the 3-sect alliance that Wuyang sect belongs to is an alliance formed by 1 7th rank sect and 2 8th rank sects. This alliance is powerful, and as the sect leader of the Cold Water sect, she dare not attack Wuyang sect. If she really broke her face with Wuyang sect, the other 2 sects in the 3-sect alliance would definitely take the opportunity to destroy her Cold Water sect. The Wuyangzong sect leader flashed through Fu Bingying's mind, looking at her hot and naked eyes, and her heart was angry and cold. But in the end it only turned into a sigh. The fiery red blade flashed. Li Fan calmly slashed a demonic beasts on the third floor of the Viscera stage, and glanced at the top of the Guangyang Peak in front of him. It's finally reaching the top of the mountain. Along the way, he led his disciples and killed more than 30 demonic beasts before they came to the foot of Guangyang Peak. On the one hand, the area of Guangyang Peak is quite wide. In addition, the demonic beasts who appeared from time to time insidiously attacked him, and he asked the disciples around him to pay attention to exploring the whereabouts of the white flame secret flower. This speed slows down, but unfortunately, after searching along the way, there was no trace of the Bayan secret flower at all. This made Li Fan wonder if the fog map rewarded by the system was wrong. It seems that I can only place hope on this peak, Li Fan sighed in his heart. The monthly weird riots are coming in a few days, plus the weird army of tidal waves formed by the endless weird crossings that Mu Quan said in Li Fan's heart. These looming dangers kept Li Fan awake at night. He understands that as long as your strength is weak in the mist, your development speed will be slow. Then only death will end. Therefore, he urgently needs to quickly increase his strength. Realm's medicine pill and heavenly Tao merits are all urgently needed. Anything blocking his path, he will crush it. I counted the gains. It was confirmed that no one around the disciple was left behind. Li Fan carried the fiery knife and climbed to the Guangyang Peak. With the Qian Yuanzong people getting closer and closer to the top of the mountain, everyone discovered that there was no demonic beasts around them that had attacked them. But everyone didn't relax. There must be demons if something went wrong. A fluke in the center of the mist will only make it easier to die. Stop. Li Fan, who was walking in the front, raised his hand to stop the disciple behind him. He leapt in depth and stood on the tallest tree trunk, looking at the top of the mountain not far ahead. There are a large number of cultivators fighting demonic beasts. The number of demonic beasts is no less than 1,000. As Li Fan's gaze swept across the top of the mountain, his expression had some ups and downs. 10 raising dirt is weird. Li Fan was puzzled. When many disciples of Qian Yuanzong heard Li Fan's words, their expressions panicked. How come there are so many weird things? It's impossible. Yeah, it's not that weird riots can't be gathered in one place. It's so weird. Every weird has a subconscious sense of territory. How could they get together? According to common sense, weirdness usually belongs to the hazy state of being half awake. In the non-fog shock, a weird mass awakening occurs and a riot occurs. Every weirdness will not come together like this. Li Fan thought about it, and remembered the monster core used by the ghost sect. Monster core has the effect of attracting weird and demonic beasts. If someone uses it in large quantities, monster core will slowly attract the weird to gather in large numbers. It is not impossible to gather so many weirdness. It's just that it's a bit weird. Although it's not a big deal to Li Fan, the average 8-rank sect is probably irresistible. Li Fan looked at the many weird cultivators desperately fighting in the distance, and he was a little puzzled. These people are quite good at playing. Although the number is quite large and there are more than 300 people, one of the women in the light blue dress has reached the 6th level of the visceral nourishment stage, and 1/5 of the people have reached the blood-changing stage, and the strength is not vulgar. But with this strength, I'm afraid it can't stop the 10 weird ones, even if these weirdness are only 2 or 3 layers of strength in the dirt-raising realm. But after all, it is also a weird with complex abilities. Even the cultivator who raises the top of the dirty realm will not get any benefit under the cooperation of 10 weirs. It is even possible to be killed by the weird and hate on the spot. Li Fan couldn't figure out the way of many cultivators in the distance for a while, and didn't know that they were extremely confident in their strength and had the same ideas as themselves. I deliberately used any method to bring a lot of weirdness to Sect to kill. It was still calculated. If the latter is okay, he will lead his disciples to kill and harvest a wave of merit. But if it was the former, wouldn't it be a feud that he rushed to disrupt other people's layout at will? After all, Sect, built on the top of Guangyang Peak, may be in charge of the whereabouts of the Bayan secret flower. If there is no reason to fight, Li Fan is not willing to enmity with others. At this moment, one of the 10 weird eyes in the distance is composed of countless eyeballs, and the compound vertical eyes are weird. Suddenly, all the eyes quickly turned to stare at the position where Li Fan was. The vertical eyes made a weird sound, and all the demonic beasts and weirdness stopped. Chi looked at the people of Qian Yuanzong. Chi looked at the people of Qian Yuanzong. Chi looked at the